This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 478 for the week of Monday, July 17th, 2017. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And this week we don't have Steven with us, which is incredibly depressing. He is currently boiling in the California heat, but he'll be back with us next week. But we do have some of our most amazing guests with us. First, we have Twitter sensation Casey with us, also known as Minovsky Article. How's it going, Casey?
Hey everybody, I recently got a FX app login, which means I have access to every episode of The Simpsons and will one day increase my utility to the One Piece podcast.
It's actually a prerequisite, so I'm glad you're finally catching up here. We also have animation director for Rick and Morty, Brian Newton, is with us. How's it going, Brian?
Hey, I'm showing Steven how to muscle through the heat by sweating it out in my car.
Yeah, I still can't believe you record the podcast in your car. We'll get more to that at some future date on the Patreon podcast, I'm sure. We also have with us the Eisner Award nominated Joey Weiser. How's it going, Joey?
Hey, pretty good. I think this is the most recent episode that I've been on since being at Heroes Con, where I met a few of our listeners, which was really cool. There is someone named Cullen, who is a cartoonist that was also in Artist Alley, and a lady named Tracy, who got into One Piece because her son was into it, and if I'm remembering correctly, is now way more into it than he is.
That's how those things work. I mean, undoubtedly. Awesome. Yeah. Also, from Weekly Shonen Jump, returning, we have Jeff Ruberg with us. How's it going, Jeff?
Hey, everyone. I don't really have a witty thing to say, so...
That sounded pretty witty to me.
We'll take it.
We'll take it. So glad to have all you guys on this week. We have a bunch of stuff to do, including a loaded news segment as we approach the 20th anniversary of One Piece on, let's say, July 22nd. And we also have a manga recap for chapter 872, an anime recap, a double anime recap this week with Ed and Sam. Did anyone else
and
join
Steve.
you? And Steve. Oh, Steve's with us. Nice.
Yeah.
Good to hear. I know he has been...
He finally caught up on the anime, and he decided to join us. So that
awesome.
It was nice.
Nice to have him back on then. And we have some piece together for you guys. So we have all of that. But before we get into the show, I want to talk about the fact that the 20th anniversary of One Piece is coming up this weekend. And as promised... Hopefully, we will have a special episode for you guys on Friday and or Saturday. Friday or Saturday for you. It'll include some segments which are yet to be determined. Some of it is based on Steven's availabilities and, you know, what could happen there. And a lot of other, you know, variables that are up in the air at the moment. So just keep an eye on your feed early this weekend for some extra One Piece podcast content coming your way. I want to give a big thanks ahead of time for Ed, who will be hosting that and the following regular episode that's coming out on Monday while I am away. So Many thanks there, Ed.
Speaking of episodes, we have backed up all of our archives, so it's not the podcast isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, Ed is referring to a story that came out recently about the fact that SoundCloud only has maybe 50 days left, maybe. I mean, it hasn't been confirmed, but there's some issues happening over at SoundCloud corporate, I believe. But
yes.
Don't
with
worry.
How websites make money.
I wouldn't worry necessarily. Their support seems to think that everything's okay, and we have everything backed up in case it is not okay. And this...
Yeah, the Iraqi information minister came out with that one, I think.
Hey, yeah, we're all fine here. We're all good here. How are you?
Wow. So we have all those episodes backed up, so even if something happens on SoundCloud, we should be fine. And at least, you know, the episodes are there and they exist. And it might cause some hiccups, which is why we're mentioning this to all of you listening today. If and when that does happen. So if you see something happen, you know, say something. Let us know right away. And
MTA Zach over here.
MTA Zach, that's what they call me. And one more thing before we get into the show. We are going to be at Otakon in Washington, D.C. from August 11th through the 13th. I'll be there with Ed, Steve, Woo! Casey, Alex, Kelly, and perhaps one other surprise guest, if he wants to out himself here, perhaps.
Do I?
Well, I guess we'll never know.
Well, I also think podcast fan Val, Dr. Valkyrie, she's been on a couple anime recaps, will also be there. So,
Cool.
that'd be nice.
And the mystery special guest will never make himself known. So we hope
See if you can find him.
So we'll be at Otakon again, Washington, D.C., August 11th through 13th for our 20 years of One Piece panel. A lot more about that coming up in the next few episodes. But why don't we get on into the show? You guys ready?
Let's get to the news.
Yeah.
Wow! This is big news!
This is the news segment with our co-host Big News Morgans, who is really just here to introduce us today. Thank you. And why don't we get started with the fact that this has been the 20th anniversary of One Piece in Weekly Shonen Jump. So Shonen Jump has a special issue. We'll be going through, our thoughts on the cover page and the color spread. But there's some really cool stuff included in this, including a one-shot from the creator of Toriko, whose name I'm going to now butcher.
You want me to do it, Zach?
Please, thank you. Thank you so much.
Mitsutoshi Shimabukuro. Yeah. There you go.
Thanks. We'll be talking about that one-shot either on today's episode or on Friday's special episode, so we don't know at this moment that we're recording which episode that'll be on, but it was really cool just to see some behind the scenes there. Did you guys have any general thoughts?
I loved it. I had heard a few days prior that it was included in the magazine and the Japanese magazine, and I was really hoping that Viz would include it, but kind of didn't keep my hopes up too high, and so I was super delighted that it was in there.
Mm. A middle-aged Oda wears a tracksuit, which I find relatable.
Ed,
his little fish cheeks are a little puffier.
Yep.
Ed, you're not even 30.
Dude, that's like a week.
I'm a huge fan of artists getting along and complimenting each other and just showing what friends they are. So this is a really nice little piece. You get manga like this as like extra features sometimes, but they rarely come this way.
Yeah, and like speaking from personal experience, it's really kind of like emblematic of how like artists can meet each other too. Like when he was like, "Oh, we went to this gathering for young rookie artists, and we were just all talking to each other, and just you kind of like, oh, you're that artist who did that piece, and you're artist that do that piece." It's like you don't even know their names before you know their work, which is really that happened here too.
Yeah,
and I thought it was funny that it's like it was 2 years after he first read his stuff that he finally met him. It took 2 years.
Yeah, it was really cool. I really loved it. It did actually kind of like Brian, kind of remind me of some of me and my friends and other colleagues that I see just at conventions and stuff. Like you have this sort of instant connection with other cartoonists, and it was really great to see that camaraderie portrayed in Jump with authors who are often kind of mysterious and don't put out a lot about themselves.
Oda mysterious?
In comics like this.
What?
Yeah.
There's also another special Easter egg of many, I think, in Weekly Shonen Jump this week, and that's that I believe every author, at least in English Shonen Jump, except for One Punch Man, which I assume was written a while back, includes...
I also think that's serialized in a different magazine than
I believe
regular
so.
Jump.
Yeah.
It's online, isn't it?
I think it's also in print.
Yeah.
I think Tonari no Young Jump. I think that's might just be online now. Might not have a physical.
Oh, okay. Anyway, all of the I guess all the Japanese Shonen Jump comics include a little ode to One Piece in a subtle and sometimes not subtle way. Are there any that you guys saw or really enjoyed?
There's one on the table of contents page.
Oh, I didn't even see that one.
The Promised Neverland.
Yeah,
there,
it's right there.
Yeah, that was I mean, as much as it's fun to search for hidden ones, that one might be my favorite just because it's in a sort of beautiful piece of color art.
And we don't get to talk
actually-
about this enough on this show. The Promised Neverland cover pages are always gorgeous, so
Mhm.
please just look at those.
I
They're
did
really
guess that perhaps that was also the artist's way of kind of keeping it out of the quote unquote canon part of their comics to include it in their title page. But
yeah, it would be kind of hard to
Right.
to
Which is
include
smarter.
Straw
Mhm.
Hats in this at this point in the story of that.
yeah.
I actually saw
first
that
one
cover
I-
page before, like long before I knew about the thing with the Straw Hats and all the series. So I was like, this is weirdly like it doesn't fit the current tone of Promised Neverland at all. Usually the cover pages are like pretty dark and like depressing and scary, and this one's like, oh, happy sunflowers, and I was like, huh, that's strange. But then when I heard the Straw Hats, I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense.
I
just
barely-
caught the one sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say I barely noticed the one in Hunter x Hunter because it's like if you're not knowing to look for it, it just looks like a circle on the ground. It's not barely even shows up as a straw hat.
I still haven't been able to find the one in Robot Laser Beam, which
Oh, that one's
one of
It's
the
a crowd
guys is
shot.
wearing it in the background.
Okay.
literally it's a small panel to the left of the page, and you only get half of the guy wearing the straw hat, so it's not even a full straw hat.
God, that guy must really hate Oda, right?
You know, I didn't know that Jump could sustain 2 Silent X series at once.
Wow, it's beyond capacity. Joey?
Oh, I wanted to remark that this reminded me of the Kochikami thing that they did maybe last year, where they hid the eyebrows everywhere. And that one was maybe a little more creative because people would kind of hide that design elsewhere. Here is pretty much just like, this is a hat. Where
it's kind of hard to
people
hide.
wearing hats.
What they should have done is just have people have random scars under their eye, just like completely out of context. So
Well, and as
anything
the
else?
one shot
Yeah,
mentioned,
please.
now that Kochikame's gone, One Piece is the longest running thing in Jump right now.
And
Mhm.
it'll
And
be
also
going
that
forever.
JoJo's is in what, Ultra Jump now?
Yeah, JoJo's has been out of
Yeah.
Weekly Shonen Jump for some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a monthly title now ever since Steel Ball Run.
So I'm curious about the one shot. Did you guys know that Shimabukuro was friends with Oda? Like,
Yes.
This is unknown to me. And I
Yeah,
was like,
we've discussed it before on the show.
It appears if you go onto Greg's website and you read the old author comments from Jump, it becomes apparent.
we used to do that a lot, and we should do it
we,
more actually.
I
Yeah,
was kind of surprised that I didn't see anything about Oda. Like, there are several cartoonists, manga authors who were fellow assistants with Oda, like Hiroyuki Takei and a few other people. And I was kind of surprised that didn't come up at all.
Takei was an assistant with him on Kenshin.
Yeah.
well, a lot
Yeah.
of the assistants and at least the editors have been in the One Piece magazines that are the first issue which has been out. So maybe we'll hear more of them in that.
I was kind of
perhaps.
wondering if some of those like fellow compatriots, drinking buddies, are actually caricatures of other manga artists, but they just didn't point it out specifically.
And someone thought that one looked like a guy from Naruto. Oh, what's his name?
Do you guys have any other comments about the about Weekly Shonen Jump and the cool stuff in there to celebrate the 20th anniversary?
there's also a couple. I've looked at the physical issue, and you can order that from like probably Kinokuni or CD Japan or Amazon Japan. And there's a cool thing. I mean, I think it's cool. I don't know how much other people find it cool, but there's like a One Piece shogi set that you can like pop out the pieces, and it comes to a little board, and you can play shogi with One Piece characters.
That's awesome.
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah, I heard about
Yeah,
that,
but-
and that does sound cool. Yeah.
You could also like print it out and cut it up, so it's not like it's that worthwhile. But
Nice.
I'll try and pick up a few of those. Again, if you're at Otakon, there's some really cool stuff that you could possibly win or see while you're at our panel. I want to move on to the next little bit of news, and that is that the cover for Volume 86 is out. That volume comes out on August 4th, 2017, and is entitled The Four Emperors Assassination Strategy. I forget if it was strategy or plot in Shonen Jump. Anyway, what do you guys think of this cover? We'll go through it more in depth when we do our volume recap in a few weeks, but any thoughts?
We get to see Pez in glorious full color.
He has pink hair and stubble, and he is a
Yeah.
baby.
Pink hair.
That's very exciting to me.
Yeah, he does. Isn't that pink? I was told it was
Yes.
pink. Did someone
Yes,
lie to
it's
me?
pink hair.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it
what I heard
matches
on
the
Twitter.
cake.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
do you guys have what are your guys' opinions on it? Joey,
I like it pretty well. Oda's back at it again with the weird cropping and boxes and stuff. It seems like he could have drawn Caesar's leg and the rest of Capone, and then maybe had the actual like cake in the background rather than that sort of brown background between their legs. But this is the way he does it, and it's an interesting tick of his that I don't fully understand, but like it's totally like 100% Oda.
Well, all the volumes used to just be in the little boxes, and then they
Yeah.
started exploding from the boxes at some certain point. And then they kind of go around the box, and this one's a weird one.
The thing I like about it is that you have, is that Chiffon? Is that her name?
Yes.
And Vito that create these sort of arcs that are kind of popping outside the box.
Yeah, they're like spilling out of it.
Yeah.
Good. I thought you were going to destroy another cover for us here, Joey.
No.
Not this time.
I think this one's fine.
Yeah, and good for everyone here. We got our favorite / least favorite character, Caesar Clown / Gastino, actually, is probably who we should refer to that on the front with Capone.
Right, mustard.
That is his witness protection name, yeah.
I was gonna say, where's Caesar Clown? I don't see Caesar Clown.
Any
This is our
other
first cover with Pudding as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
But no third eye. That's the big shock.
She only has one eye on this cover. So
That's true. Yeah, she's missing 2 of her eyes there.
Yeah, Pudding and Sanji have kind of weirdly blank stares at each other, but they don't actually have. They have a weird, complicated relationship, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the blank stares reflect the energy of their particular arc.
at this point in the volumes, has the reveal come about her eye yet?
I think it might be at the end. Oh, the reveal in general? Yeah, I assume at this point. I believe so. Here, let me check the most recent one while you're stalling for time.
No, it's definitely been revealed.
Oh,
It got revealed in the Liar volume 85.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's correct. Any other thoughts on that? We'll discuss that more in depth in a few weeks, as I said. Other than that, there's video game news, which I don't understand because I am an old person. Now, One Piece Grand Cruise, the first, I think it's the first game for the PlayStation virtual reality console. What do you call it? Console system? I don't know the right word for that.
Console.
Virtual console.
Yes, that's fair.
That's going to be
No, that's
out.
a different thing.
That's going to be coming out soon. I don't think it has been announced when that is coming out. But I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to see this particular news. Anyone here? Sounds like a no. But
I did. I saw their initial trailer for it a couple of weeks back, saying that they were going to re-release this one. And I think I already had it on a DS. It came out initially for a while back.
I see.
Am I correct on that?
Possibly.
Okay. Sure. I've played most of the unlimited games, but I don't love all the unlimited games. Tell me when there's a new Pirate Warriors, I'll be all over that.
Oh yeah. I'm with you there.
Or an Arc Systems One Piece fighter that
Oh,
looks like
God.
BB Fighter Z.
My God.
Yes, please.
That would
Jesus.
destroy me.
Thank you, Casey, for channeling all our thoughts there. We'll at some point get some of our video game experts on here to talk a little bit more about that in the future. Now for Ed's favorite piece of news, 2 pieces of news. There's another preview for the episode of East Blue that has come out, detailing a little bit more. It looks beautiful. I think we probably all have the same concerns, which is how are they going to fit 100 chapters in 2 hours? But we'll see how that works. That's coming out on August 26th. We'll probably have a recap for that. So that is the part that Ed has been looking forward to. And last but not least, One Piece Season 9 Voyage 3 has been announced. This includes the flashback, or at least part of the flashback of Fishman Island, and is coming out October 10th. It includes episodes 541 through 552. So that's it for the news. Are you guys ready to get into the rest of the show?
Yeah.
Aye, aye.
This is the manga recap for chapter 872, Thick and Fluffy. Ed, what's going on the cover of Weekly Shonen Jump this week?
Cover of Weekly Shonen Jump is a 1 and a 2 for 2 Luffys, 2 decades of One Piece, and that's the Luffy from the first chapter serialization Jump?
Yeah, the cover to the first Jump.
Right.
Number 34, 1997, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Apparently they're having a party on the beach because you can see the sand and the ocean in the background. It's really cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a nice effect.
you can kind of see like Luffy's like obviously older in the newer one, just like in his face.
Yeah,
Simple
so
aesthetics.
my first thought when I saw this is I wonder if Oda redrew the Luffy in the back, or if that's just the piece of key art from that first volume. And I actually pulled out, I didn't pull out the first volume, obviously. I pulled out an image from the internet of it and looked pretty darn close. And it looks like it is just pulled from that first volume illustration.
I believe so.
Otherwise, Oda did a crazy good job of matching exactly where the shading is and stuff like that.
If anything, it's just because you might be seeing a more digital touch-up of it, as opposed to the print version that existed a while back. But yeah, it's the exact same drawing.
Yeah.
And this kind of thing makes me appreciate the English Shonen Jump, where you don't have a lot of ads and stuff all over the front, and you're able to kind of appreciate the art for what it is, and also get a nice little relaxing background there.
Right.
Any thoughts on this besides?
Well, it's also interesting. You can see how Luffy has changed in some subtle ways, and in some ways he hasn't changed much at all. Like the color of the straw hat, first and foremost, is stands out. He's a little more subtle with his gradation and tone. The hand looks identical, which is kind of amazing, because I remember there was an interview a while back saying how much he studies hands. Yeah. And I'm not saying his hands haven't gotten any better. They have. It's just interesting that I think intentionally in this more recent version, he did his hands the way he used to, but they're a bit more volumetric and bubbly than instead of super articulate, whereas we've seen him do in more recent chapters.
Now they look super bubbly. The more I look at them, they're just
it's fun. It's a nice style.
Yeah, and I think something contributing to Ed thinking that he looks a little bit older is that Luffy's eyes are smaller, and that may be in part just due to Oda's changing style, but that might also have been a somewhat conscious decision to make him look a little older.
Wow.
Cool.
I didn't know smaller eyes make you look older, but I guess
sure,
so.
because big, wide-eyed eyes of the child.
I mean, wide eyes is supposed to mean it's a commonly used term.
I mean, maybe they're just an anime character. It could be.
Just in general physics and character designs, your eyes and your ears stay relatively the same size, but the proportion of your head as a child gets larger.
I see.
So that's why babies are usually drawn with big eyes and big ears, but adults aren't.
This is a good time to remind people that the original number 34 Weekly Shonen Jump from 1997 will have a reprint, I think, in mid-August. Check out your local Kino or CD Japan or Amazon Japan or however you get your local import for that. I also want to mention, it seems like Shonen Jump at San Diego Comic-Con will have some pretty cool exclusives, including the manga page replica thing that they usually give out. So if you're there, pick that up. Also a really cool Weekly Shonen Jump hat, which I would totally get. And why don't we get into the color spread, Ed?
Well, this is one of my favorite color spreads ever because, fuck whatever normal colors are supposed to be. We're on a rainbow road with a red sky, and everyone's doing Venture Brothers, what color is your raid suit? On the cover here. And this is really something else. I love the way he's put this together. Like Luffy's straw hat belt buckle, and Brook has a skull belt buckle, but the other, and Chopper also has the hoof, but Zoro, Usopp, and Sanji only have their numbers on it. And you can see everyone's number on their body except for Robin's 7.
Well, actually, that's the thing, and it's something he did brilliantly. Basically, if you couldn't see the numbers on their capes, then the number would appear on the belt buckle. That's the kind of division that Oda created. So everyone's number is visible and somewhere in their body. Or
Robin's is probably the hardest to see.
Yeah, but it's clearly a 7.
Yeah, I love it.
Thoughts? Anyone else? Yeah.
Poor Jinbei.
He's not a Straw Hat yet. It just that's not how it works.
No, he has to do the cheers on the boat before you officially become a Straw Hat and get included on color spreads. That's just how that works, Casey.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love this red sky. I can't get over it.
It's a good color composition.
Yeah,
I like
beautiful.
I like the ectoplasm rising from Brooke's afro. And
No, that's
fire,
Sanji's
isn't it?
fire.
Yeah.
He kicked his
fire?
afro.
Oh.
Jesus, people.
But it's green
Well,
flames.
it's-
though.
It's
Yeah, it's a
kind
different
of.
color.
Yeah.
I think that's Brooke because there's the flame behind him too, which I think was maybe him rushing over and drawing his sword very
yeah.
fast as he does.
Yeah, it is different. color.
Oh, I see.
I also like that.
Okay.
I've always thought ever since I first saw the new Frankie post time skip that his shoulder things always looked like giant Robo. This really great anime,
Yep.
Mhm.
and he looks even more so. But he kind of has like the Gundam Mazinger V as his haircut this time, which is
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is definitely my
Oh,
favorite. This might be my favorite Frankie haircut. Definitely one of my favorite Frankie outfits. For some reason the Sentai outfit just works so well on him. Probably because he's also a robot, a cyborg.
Yeah,
the enormous buttons look so cool on him.
yeah, and I love that cool aqua blue matching his hair all over his body. It's great.
Yeah, I love
Everyone's color themed to what Oda says their primary colors are in his kind of his SBSs. But also we have a fucking hover tiger.
Hover
Yeah,
Tiger.
that thing is amazing. So my friend Joel Carroll has a character that's a sort of Kamen Rider-esque character that's tiger themed. That he is named Toho Yaro because that's Tora as in tiger and then Rider. And that's the first thing I thought of this. I was like, oh, Joel, look, it's Toho Yaro.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And along those lines, I love Sanji's rider kick. Very intense there at the top.
Also, that tiger only hovers in the front, not in the back.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's not,
Well, it's
half
a cat riding a Roomba.
I want to see a video of a tiger riding a Roomba now.
You suppose those are dials?
But only in the front, not in the back.
They're the same technology that Germa has, whatever.
Oh,
that
sure,
is.
yeah.
Because they have similar stuff. And you can see Brooke and I think Usopp also have that. And Sanji, I think, have that on their feet. Actually, everyone who you can see the shoes all have that circular pad thing on their feet.
It looks like he's actually
Chopper.
holding those things you can use for like doing push-ups that like turn as you do the push-up.
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Except they hover, so they're way
Yeah.
cooler. Okay. Any other thoughts on this very cool color spread?
I like Chopper in his tank.
Yeah, Chopper gets a great little pink tank. And Nami has a number on her leg, just like Reiju.
And 56 is
Oh, yeah.
Gomu, right?
Yeah.
I think we've discussed this in the past.
So they're all under Luffy's umbrella here.
Yeah.
I feel stupid for like pondering what 56 could mean for way too long. Then.
Yeah, if you like, when you keep that in mind, you'll see 56 throughout the whole series. Like Oda likes to drop that in.
Ed, please continue. I'm probably starting the chapter.
Yes. When Luffy's crew was at Fishman Island. Your Majesty, regarding all the treasure you gave to Luffy and his friends, you suppose you could ask for just the Tamate box back? Never! I gave it to them as a gift. I couldn't possibly ask for it back. It will explode when opened. Ah! Luffy is shocked by this. You gave all the treasure to Big Mom? And it's like, you suppose it might fizzle out instead? It's good to think positive, Your Majesty.
Luffy's not that shocked though. He's kind of like, oh,
There's
Different guy.
dust hanging in the air there.
He's not too determined to do anything about it.
Yeah,
I-
Neptune is much more upset about it. It seems.
Yeah, I forgot. Did Luffy actually find out that there was a bomb in there, or did the Neptune and Minister of the Right hold that information to themselves?
I thought they held it to themselves, but
Me too.
I think that I don't know if it's implied that Luffy knows because they're discussing it's just the Minister of the Right? And
Yes.
Neptune talking in that one panel in the middle, and they never explicitly talk to Luffy. They kind of whisper to each other at the very end there. So.
Oh, I see. They could just be asking where the treasure is and not.
Yeah, that kind of
explaining why.
shocked Luffy
Yeah.
faces like a time transition, maybe.
Yeah, it feels like it implies that Luffy is aware that there's a bomb in the box, but I'm pretty sure that he never had any clue about that. I have to reread that chapter again.
Well, it was great to be at Fishman Island, but get me the hell out of here, Brian.
Present day, Whole Cake Island, and we see a giant explosion as the tower kind of tips over. Inside Whole Cake Chateau, there's a massive fault line running through the second ceiling of the Eastern Bomb and the Red Bean Bomb meeting room. And then, like, you hear over the radio, other people communicating throughout the tower. It's like, it's not a fault, it's a complete split. And then we see more people. I'm pretty sure
Not a
all
split,
these
it's a
groups.
strike.
Yeah, a strike. I'm pretty sure all these people we've seen in various forms in previous chapters during the whole cake invasion part, because this dude with the mustache looks very familiar. Saying that the bean bomb third floor checking in. What's going on? We're starting to
Beanbaum.
Like a
Bean bomb.
conference center.
Beanbaum.
It's a bing bag. And then we got those floating children from before who were really creepy. And then one of them, over the radio, we hear more people continuing. It's not an earthquake. I heard an enormous explosion. Are we under attack? And then we see a quick shot of what's his face?
Niwatori.
Yes, thank you.
Formerly Baron Tamago.
That's right.
Of
There you
egg
go.
fame.
Yeah. And there's a quick mistake in this one panel. He doesn't have his little like rooster hanging nut sack thing.
Oh, you're right. Whoops.
I believe that's called a waddle.
Sure it
That
is.
sounds better.
Wobble fed. And then next page we see other people talking. The tilt isn't correcting itself. And then the Baron, our former Baron, goes, What if? Nah, that's not right either. What
Very good.
if? God damn it. Okay, I'm just gonna do this.
Just
gonna do.
plow
What?
through it.
We're collapsing. Whole Cake Chateau is going down with the boom. Look at
Very good.
Yeah, and then with this series of panels, just he's further and further tilting, and his little waddle is also staying like completely down.
Yeah, I love that. I see that as a kind of like fast zoom each time as he's tilting more and more.
Yeah.
That would be.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of the comic of the dog in the fire. Like everything's fine. Well,
Yeah.
everything's
Oh,
flashing
Casey
around.
Green.
Still not.
Got to give
fine.
him credit.
That's right. We're not the Daily Show.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's a good comic artist.
I also like the Bacall sound effect on that page when he realizes how doomed they are.
Oh my god, I did not notice that.
Like a good like little like comedic dong, you know.
I was paying more attention to the grr, 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 which reminds me of like JoJo sound effects.
Yeah, Oda's been
Yeah.
using that one a lot. Dressrosa, I think, exclusively used that effect for some time during the birdcage stuff. You know, Dressrosa could have used a lot more Bacall. I'm just saying. Anyway, Brian,
There was a rooster.
was there?
Oh. What's there? Are you thinking about Inaslabi?
I think
Or
you're thinking.
Mayo.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
Oh God, you're
that's
right.
That
a
guy.
stretch.
Yeah.
Not
I
like
call
a,
him that.
yeah. Well, go ahead, but Brian.
Okay. So outside at the capital, Sweet City, the citizens are clearly watching the tower crumble right on top of them. They're like, "Oh no, is it an enemy attack? No way, they can't invade this far." Eek! And then we see another shot of the tower further collapsing and breaking apart, and now everyone decides to panic and start running. It's like, what in the world just exploded? Please make it stop. We're all gonna die. And then next page.
There's a shot from the bottom of a person in a skirt and knee-high boots running, just like
He's done
the
that run
camera
before.
is directly up there. Like, what the fuck?
He's
Oda?
done that run on characters before. I'm pretty sure.
You see,
that's high.
I thought that was a long leg person, but I don't think that's a long leg person. I think that's just a very odd angle.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of really interesting looking people on this.
I think
page.
you're supposed to be paying attention to the building in the background.
That's ridiculous. It's One Piece. You focus on the weird looking people everywhere. That's how that works.
They are weird.
We go to the next page as we see from a little higher up, the cake is indeed collapsing with a zoom. Whatever sound effect that is. And we have big news. We have big news Morgans and Stussy looking on, and Stussy thinking, is this what I think it is? And big news Morgans responds, Casey.
Oh, it must be. What else would explode like that? But why the tomate box?
It's a good
But why
question.
male models?
What?
Zoolander, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But why the tomato box? I just explained it to you.
Anyway, that's true. Oda did just explain that. Did you not see the flashback? And Ichiji, trying to look as cool as possible, coughs slightly into his hand. And meanwhile, Reiju is asking what just happened here, and Sanji, holding Luffy, who's still a little bit withered after the Gear 4th usage, says, well, it doesn't really matter. It bought us time. They were just about to kill us. Very accurate. Big Mom, I really like this angle. You can kind of tell exactly the emotion here, and how chaotic the situation is with her and the next panel as well. Saying, what's going on? What's happening here? And we have Yonji and Niji holding up their father, who is conveniently put his head down. I'm assuming, I was really kind of hoping, actually, those are just monarch eyebrows that he has under there. Those super long, ridiculous Venture Brother eyebrows. Anyway, Yonji says, something just saved us. And Niji saying, I think it's a bit too early. And we see the entire whole cake chateau here from above collapsing, and it's a really cool, crazy looking panel shaded at the bottom, and saying, I think it's a bit too early to say that for sure. There's the rest of that sentence. And someone else yelling, it's an emergency, mama. And someone else reporting over a loudspeaker, I assume, that a sudden explosion is causing Whole Cake Chateau to collapse.
Yeah, look at those sound effects.
Yeah,
Those are large.
There's that JoJo's go 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 go. But yeah, I love that drawing of the city collapsing. So good.
Yeah. Any opinions on it beyond that? I mean, it's the background art is always such an amazing
credit
job.
to Oda's assistant on those like teapots and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
He has amazing assistants. We can't say it enough. Please come on our show. Anyway, Joey.
So now we see inside of Capone, and everyone's looking out the windows, and I think Nami's saying, we can't feel anything from inside Beija's body like this, but something's clearly wrong out there. What's going on? And that's an interesting point that I had never really thought of, that like, if no matter what he's doing, they stay upright. So like you could theoretically hold him by his ankles upside down and they would still be right side up, which is interesting. Like I've always thought of them as literally being inside his body, but I guess they're kind of like,
well, his body has its own internal gravity, I think. Like there's a center of gravity is literally like a ball of gravity, and it keeps everyone like plastered to the floor.
Yeah. So Jinbei looks outside and remarks on the massive panic going on out there as we go back out and see buildings crumbling and people rushing around. Could it be that Whole Cake Chateau itself is trembling? And people can't believe it. They think it's a dream. We see my favorite lackey kind of flailing here is this guy or lady riding a big fluffy ram. And the ram's like holding on for dear life. And it's kind of like behind him is another kind of like plump dude who looks like he maybe has hooves too.
That's the great mortician who's part of the underworld.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's got the mask on
him. Yeah. But
also, I just noticed pair of sparrows in that window that Jinbei's looking through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Finally.
Yeah. Oda
is his name Drug
Peklo?
Details. Is that his name? The Drug Peklo, the underworld guy? No.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
What a great name. His mom, big fan. Anyway.
Drugs.
So Caesar continues to drag away Capone, who's remarking that this is perfect. and Caesar does not even care about what he's looking at, just wants to get away. But in this moment of distraction, is finally able to break free of is that Brûlée? Is that her name?
With the mirror lady?
The mirror lady?
Yes.
Yeah. So Brûlée, still in like Caesar form, is looking on and crying about her brothers and sisters, and she sees Mama, sure enough, tumbling down off of the chateau, and we get another great 3-panel sequence here with a big close-up of Mom's face, and then not exactly zooming out, she's zooming away. She's getting smaller and smaller as she's falling off into the distance. And I love that sequence. And
Mama.
that's good. And Capone laughs triumphantly and says, "We don't even need to assassinate him now. The Big Mom pirates are ruined."
I love that face. That Capone face is my jam.
Mm-hmm. Everything is coming up Capone face.
Yeah, you gotta love that Capone face. It's just, if he were on the other side of this and he were the bad guy, you'd be terrified of that face. That's just like some maniacal crap from him there.
Then again, I mean, like, this completely fell into his lap. He didn't plan this part at all.
But it totally looks like he
did. In a way, he would look ridiculous. Like, if we knew as much as we did now, he'd look like an idiot.
He's just the person who really loves his job, and that's murdering folks.
He's the best he is at what he does.
That's definitely true. The funny thing is, like, maybe it was just me, but I wasn't really feeling this moment like, oh no, they're all gonna die. Like, this is kind of, I guess, what's going through his mind. But we're also used to a main character who could fall from any height and be completely fine. So
like Kaido.
Yeah, I mean Luffy even.
Yeah.
I do think that by saying the Big Mom pirates are ruined, he's not necessarily saying they're all going to die. He's just saying that like everything they have is in shambles.
Yeah, but he's equating it to assassinating them anyway. Casey, pick us up.
Yep. So we cut to another tower collapsing as someone screams, "Mama!" And we see some more just, stragglers and onlookers as things collapse. There's no escape. The castle's bigger than the town. We can't possibly get away. No one's fast enough to run away in time.
This bear is trying, though.
Okay, there's a lot of things happening in this panel I don't want to miss. There's
a peanut man.
There's a literal peanut man. There's a bear wearing a honey pot shirt.
Yeah, honey pot bear.
Honey pot bear.
He's running hard.
He's running. And what else is going on in this? There's a lot of just random crap going on. Anyway, please continue. I'm sorry to interrupt there, Casey.
It's okay. Then I forget which of Big Mom's kids this is, but they get stuck in a mochi puddle.
Galette.
Gelato?
Galette, yeah. Galette. Yeah, Galette. Okay. Brother! And Danzig himself is like, calm down.
New Katakuri voice.
So they're going to reach it.
It's way too tall to be Danzig.
It's true. And meanwhile, our old friend Big News Morgan is loving this. This is big news! The biggest news!
I love that.
Going, aren't you worried for your own life? What's he saying? Is it? I guess it's Morgan who's yelling. Oh, which one of them is yelling they can't fly?
That's Morgan.
That's
He's a flightless bird.
Okay, Morgan's is too large to fly. Okay. Oh, right. I can't fly. But you're right. If this is the end of the Big Mom pirates, it is big news. So even if you're going to die, you're right. The news is large.
Even
Are we left with the
Go ahead.
Are we supposed to think Morgan's has died now?
Forever.
It's like
and
good night for Morgan. Good night, everyone.
R.I.P. Morgan.
You'll see why he
Good
does
night
not
and
die.
good luck.
Yeah.
Stussy even has to admit that this is indeed big news. Please.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Beg and Caesar continue to escape. Go, Caesar! As far as you can fly! And then I forget which
It's
brother
definitely
this is,
Capone saying that, but sure. I imagine him saying it in that voice.
Well, then he's like, go, Caesar! As far as you can fly! He's like pepping himself up. But yeah, it's probably Capone. And meanwhile, we cut back to Struz and the Cake Boss.
Cake Boss?
The only thing is pain and strife. There is no thick and fluffy life. Cake Boss, And then Struzen reveals his super ability as he lifts his ceremonial butter knife into the air and shouts, "Gourmetamorphosis!"
Gourmet.
Gourmet.
Such a good pun.
Yeah, that's a really
very
good one. That's why I'm sad Steven's not on this episode.
Yeah, we need to gloat for Steven.
Yeah, that is some pun from Steven. Thank you. While reading it, I couldn't pick it up for some reason, but when you say it out loud, it's obvious. Jeff.
Yep, and then turning the page, we have the effects of his gourmet amorphosis. The whole cake chateau is transforming into something. It seems to be. It's kind of hard to tell from the first couple of panels what's going on, and then we see Struzen. Wait, that's his name, right?
Yep.
I forget his. Yeah, Struzen. Yeah. Holding up a sword again, and then he looks like he slices off the top layer somehow. I don't know how he does that with his little butter knife, but then everyone in the town is screaming, "Oh no, it's all over! Oh, the humanity! Ah!"
That's my favorite Steven line there. Definitely.
And lots of sound effects. Poof! Afun. Then there's I don't know, does Oda do this normally? The exclamation point is a heart. In the original Japanese sound effect there.
Interesting effect.
I think he's kind of done it before, but it's just to show that it kind of he's doing it to show it lands with like a squish instead of like a boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like exciting but happy, but yeah.
It might be a disaster, but it's still cake.
Yeah,
although apparently not very good cake.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And then everyone's like, "Huh? What?" And there's a blorb, blorb. And what? That it's cream. Blah blah blah. Kia, blah blah.
Jeff, you fit in perfectly. There's splots and poofs and blurps and blorps.
I don't need any commentary. Just blah blah. Yeah. So apparently it is. He's transformed it into cream and sponge cake, which I don't. This kind of confused me at first. The first time I read it, because I had kind of assumed the chateau was cake already.
Apparently not.
Yeah, apparently it was building materials or whatever.
This was probably some very hard crackers or something.
even they would tell you, "You idiot! You can't make a castle out of cake."
Oh well.
Yeah, so it's cake now.
Ed,
let them eat Blorrrb.
Let them eat.
Let them eat blurp blorp. That's the sound effect.
Yeah. Everyone's looking like the end of Ghostbusters 2 in this. Or is it Ghostbusters 1 with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man?
Is the first one.
Ghostbusters 1.
I'm not
sure.
sure.
Get all the pink goo all over them, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
I love everyone this town.
There you go.
That's what Steve posted earlier today. I was trying to get that in for him. Yeah, everything is just covered in cream and cake. It's as the children are saying, "Well, Cake Chateau is an actual cake now." What's the lady with the hat, Joey?
Amand. Yeah, I love that her hat is shielding her, so she's pristine, at least below the hat.
Yeah. And the other one says, "We're alive." I guess that was the head chef. I could have sworn we were goners. And Mama's like, "My castle, it's cake now." And is it Prometheus? Or no, it's Zeus. Yes. "Are you okay, Mama?" But she says, "Those sweets Struzen makes with his powers, they might fill your tummy, but they don't taste good." So the people are asking the ministers, "What's happening out there? We thought the city would be crushed." And he says, "Shut up! Shut up!"
Montour has no temper.
It's not over yet. They got away. They still must be nearby. Contact every tart base in Totaland. Don't let a single one of the Straw Hat crew or Fire Tank Pirates escape. He's a very serious clown.
Yeah, Montour is the manager where everything goes wrong in the store, and he's gonna have to answer to it, and doesn't really kind of in a screwed position there. Casey. Joey.
Yes.
No, Joey, did you have something to say about that?
I was gonna make a dumb joke. Look at his nose. He needs a Biore strip real bad.
Oh, Jesus.
What is it, 1997?
I'm here for all your 90s references.
Well, we are celebrating the 20th anniversary, so we should probably do exclusively jokes from 1997 from now on.
I got a good bit on Clearasil strips.
Excellent. Well, he needs those too, I guess.
All of our 97 bits are acne based. That's all you need to know about the hosts.
We were all teens in 1997.
Our Titanic base.
Clearasil sucked. Okay, that did nothing. Anyway, Casey.
It's true.
Yeah.
So we have a bubble identifying that we are now in northwest Whole Cake Island, and we get an aerial map that shows where we are. We're sort of in between Big's base and the Sunny. In the aerial view, it kind of looks like a Mario World map. All right, so they all determine that this spot should work. The whole gang is sort of sitting around. Capone proclaims, "Well, this is where we part ways," and Caesar is huffing and wheezing. Chopper hits his head with a boink, and Nami gets some fairly good lines in on these pages.
Well, Chopper's coming out of Capone, exactly like what it sounds
I love that
like.
exit.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's 45 degrees.
Brooke would be proud.
He is a bit top heavy too. So thank you, Beige. We thought all was lost. I don't want your thanks. It makes me sick. Feels like I did something nice for a change. And I was the one who carried you out. Oh, shut up, you pig. I haven't forgotten what you did to those children on Punk Hazard.
Damn right.
You poison one test group of children.
I was glad that got brought up.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, well, that's why
says,
Nami keeps calling him trash and pig. Cause
New readers might forget when they're taken up with the allure of Caesar Clown. I'm sorry, Gastino. Gangster Gastino. Please, Caesar. Please, Casey.
I'm just going to ask, why should the sins of Caesar Clown be visited upon Gastino? And so Nami says, and we're done with you, so you can finally go off and die now. What? And Beige goes, there's your heart. And he just tosses it with a whip. Yay! Now you're free.
Two hearts. Two hearts in that bubble.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I guess one of them is the heart he wants, and one of them is the heart he'll never have.
I like Nami's quip here, which is just a very muted, should have crushed it. And Caesar is sobbing, my heart, my beautiful heart is back to me. And then a quick turnaround. And they're all kind of leaving. I have no idea what happened back there, though.
We'll never cross paths again. So long, suckers and suckets.
I love the suckets.
Yeah, that's a nice touch, Steven. Good job.
Bump, 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 bump. The heart is still beating. And then I can't make out from this angle which one of Big's gang this is.
It's
that's
Vito.
Vito.
Vito with the speech
With
window.
the giant hands.
Okay. Hey, Godfather, as far as I can tell, Lalo looks like everyone's all right. The castle turned into actual cake or something. And meanwhile, in the background,
Later, losers. Hasta la bye-bye.
he's still trying to be kind of noticed back there. Yeah, that'd be Struzen's power. He's always been a mystery to me. He should be pretty tough in a fight. So they're not wiped out, but the chateau is toast. I feel a bit better about that. And Luffy. So that's all left. That's all. So that's all that's left is to get away. And again, Caesar.
Bye bye now.
And just a very hello. So I don't think we've seen the last of Caesar. Not even within this arc, possibly. Yeah, that's always been the plan. We just hit the roughest patch right at the start. You ought to be quick about it, though. They'll be coming after us any minute. Even by ship, it'll take a full day to leave the territory. And Brooke with that sort of creepy, even for Brooke look. Good point.
Excellent.
He is a skeleton. He has the same look every time. To be
No,
fair.
but that's just like of the angle. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
it's
I
just
know.
The way he's
him
cocking his head a
juxtaposed
little
against Jinbei.
Also, Pedro is not that short. It's just compared to these two guys.
Yeah, they're
Maybe he's
giants.
sitting?
No, he's
No, they're
standing.
No,
Oh, no,
those
he's
guys are
standing
just
in the other
super
page.
tall.
Sorry, yeah.
Well, I mean, Brooke is like 8 foot something, and I guess Jinbei's taller than
No,
that.
Brooke's like 9 feet tall.
Oh,
Jinbei's
really?
taller. Yeah.
Brian, finish this
Wait.
off here.
Okay, so then we have a gang doing a bit of construction work. He says, "Best of luck, gonk gonk," and then we see what the construction he was working on was a sign that says "Straw Hats that way" as Gang heads off in his castle tank in the opposite direction.
So, does this prove that Capone/Oda is a huge fan of Looney Tunes?
Yeah, this is definitely a duck season, rabbit season, Straw Hat season.
No,
the introduction.
The Roadrunner coyote.
The spirit of the
totally
shadow of Chuck Jones looms large over us all.
Right? I just imagine Capone in his head is going. And Sanji's pissed off. He's like, "Is the sign really necessary?" And then he's like, "Shut up! Every man for himself." And then
he's checking the sign out,
and Capone is laughing maniacally as he goes away.
Yeah. The best thing about that panel is Chopper like still starry-eyed at the castle tank transformation.
Mm-hmm.
I did not notice that with the speed lines. Yeah,
it's really subtle. And then we got Vito going, "At least let us say goodbye, Godfather," and Chiffon going, "I got to be good friends with Nami," and then Gang goes, "We ain't here to get along. It's escaping time." Clack, 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 clack. It says the sounds of the tank treads. And then we cut back to the Straw Hat group. And something I brought up earlier, it's Brooke goes, "So we'll be taking the Shark Submerge right back to the Sunny," as he's riding on Chopper in the most ridiculous fashion possible.
He's got his feet up on his back legs.
Because he's too tall.
He's too tall. His feet would touch the ground.
And
It's really creepy looking.
His reindeer form is already gigantic. So
is it just me or has Brooke grown? I feel like he did not used to be this tall.
He's never ridden on Chopper before, so he's never seen this for scale.
No, but like if you look at his legs, like if you bend them out here,
he stood up, he would be like 12 feet tall.
Right, his like torso, his hip would be at the height of Sanji's head, which is not.
He's been drinking milk.
Yeah, he went from like around the same height as Jinbei to much taller than Jinbei in this panel. I mean, this is wrong, but we'll accept.
This also may be Oda's new way of differentiating Jinbei and Brooke now that he's no longer like the tallest person around.
Yeah, I used to always get those guys confused.
I always figured Brooke should be the tallest crew member no matter who joins, but yeah, Jinbei and Frankie are throwing everything out of whack. And then I guess it's Luffy goes, "Good, take care. We'll be going back to the original coastline," which is where the Swindling Forest was. And then, is that it for that? Yes, it is. So we got back to Big Mom and her crew, or at least the crew, to Katakuri. He goes, "Assemble the squads, Daifuku." And then Daifuku goes, "We'll split into two and make pursuit. One group goes after Straw Hat, the other group will bring back Page's head." And then the group goes, "Yeah!" A large crowd of fucking...
Yeah, Daifuku, what an original idea. Yeah, like, no one told you to do that. Yeah.
It's all in his head. What is he? He's the second brother, right?
Fourth,
No, he's...
Maybe?
Third
or fourth, somewhere around there.
Yeah, Oven's fourth. Okay, I forgot.
No, Katakuri's second. Pudding is first.
No, but
no, not Pudding. Sparrow. Very easy to confuse those two. Yeah.
You're correct.
Yeah.
Sorry, tangent. And then we cut to Smoothie, who's trying to console Big Mom. She says, "Don't worry, Mama. We'll make sure none of them." And then we cut to Big Mom. She's like, "My cake, the finest ingredients, a superb wedding cake. Oh, how I want it." And then Smoothie's like, "Huh?" And the look of terror on her face really comes through when you see this very next panel with Big Mom's face in complete darkness and shadow, saying, "My wedding cake!" And then everyone and Smoothing, I guess, goes, "Mama!" And to be continued. And my theory is somebody's gonna get eaten.
Thank you, Brian, for that colorful commentary. We'll do some more "Your Mama's So Big" jokes at the end of this. Anyway,
can't possibly top last week.
No, we can't. I had hopeful thinking there. Let's go around the horn. Joey, what did you think of this week's chapter?
Yeah, it was great. You know, I one thing that I thought of immediately after reading it was how we were kind of taken aback by how quickly the actual wedding ceremony and the plan of breaking out of the cake and everything kind of was dealt with very fast, and this seemed like a very appropriate amount of time taken for a whole huge structure falling and crushing the town below. Like, we get almost the whole chapter and several like 2-page spreads and big huge panels of it falling, so you really felt the chaos and everything. So I thought that was really effective. And then Oda really loaded the back of it with a lot of really great gags and bits and pieces of where the story's going at this point. I think I kind of commented it along the way on a lot of my more minor thoughts. So that's basically it. I just thought it was super effectively done, and really love that color spread, Super Sentai action.
Jeff?
Right
Yeah, I think it was, in some ways, it was kind of inevitable. It was like all the pieces that really happened in this chapter we've seen coming for a while. We kind of predicted the Tamate box would blow up the castle, and we saw that begin to happen last chapter. And this was like an entire chapter of just it wasn't anything surprising really, but it was executed well. It had lots of humor in it, and I think like dedicating a whole chapter to this does give it that epicness, and that makes it seem like it was a big threat to people. And it was also interesting to see Big Mom's crew, and Shusen at least, care about the lives of the people and not just be okay with killing everyone that landed or that it was below the cake. So that was interesting. And I don't know, it's going to be weird. Like, it's going to be a weird chapter looking back, I think, because things are kind of at a crossroads and a fulcrum now. It's like, is this how they escape, or is this, where Big Mom comes to chase them down? Does she eat her? Like, there's so many directions the story could take now that I think it'll be weird to look back on, because now it's kind of like we don't know where to go anymore. So it's interesting.
I feel like Oda's done a really good job at doing that a lot this arc, which is, I think, why we've been enjoying it so much. This definitely feels like at least second or third time in like the last month where I'm like, I have no idea what's happening in the next chapter. The most recent one, I think, being when Big Mom came out of her quote unquote slumber. Anyway, Casey, what did you think of this chapter?
I kind of think this is, like everybody said, this is a chapter where we're just kind of watching all the dominoes that have already been set up just completely fall down. In this case, literally with the Whole Cake Island collapse, which was really well drawn, and I enjoyed all the panels of just things falling apart. What really stood out for me in this particular chapter, and again, it's kind of funny that this is our 20th anniversary chapter, but I think what this chapter really emphasized is, again, just how good Oda can be at like really small visual humor. Because so much of One Piece has really broad strokes, but like he gets those little touches in. For example, I really love Niwatori, aka Tamago's close-ups that make him look increasingly rooster-like. I enjoy what was called out earlier, which is Chopper, being still twinkling in that very tiny corner, and if you blink, you wouldn't even, I didn't even notice it till it was called out. It's so subtle.
But and the Caesar thing that you were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's some Caesar gags in there too. They're purely little visual things, and also just the broadness of that joke about the Looney Tunes-esque sign being planted in the ground. I think that, and also another shot, Brook not being able to ride reindeer Chopper without keeping his legs pretty much on top of Chopper. Just a lot of great, funny little things. So I think that's really the strength of this particular chapter, and as has been already said, it's just that, I have no idea what this is going. I do feel like we are really wrapping up this area, though, and we're going to move on to other things unless the Big Mom stuff somehow explodes out a little bit more before the end. And I'll be really sorry to see Caesar go for a while, but I know this isn't the end.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
Where is he even going? Where could he go?
He doesn't have a
There's
ship.
one of two options at this point.
And also,
it's clear from this page that Caesar hasn't left yet.
Just
threatening to leave.
And beyond that, Caesar hasn't read One Piece and doesn't know that no character leaves forever. Everyone is back.
Actually, I have a question about the heart thing, because like when I first read this chapter, I walked over to Alexi, the editor, and was like, "Is that it? He gets his heart back? That's it? Like that's the end of Caesar Clown's heart escapades, and I couldn't remember, at least, like, if in Punk Hazard, when they get their heart back, can they just put it back in, or do they need Law to like transmute it into their body?
No, I think they could just put it back in.
Just slide it back in. It's like one of those.
Oh, okay.
Like one of those metal boxes that fits exactly in and just like sort of hovers in.
Yeah, it does make me sad that the heart escapades seem to have come to a conclusion, unless that wasn't his real heart.
Because he was goofy as shit back then.
It would be great if that heart also was not his real heart and it was someone else's heart.
It'll be pretty funny though to see like him still hang around even after he doesn't have that pretext anymore. Where he's
because you can tell from that gag of him being like, "Later, losers, I'm still here," that he like he had that excuse that they had his heart for why he was still hanging out with them, but like he really doesn't have anywhere else to go or anything else to do besides hang out with these guys.
I love the idea that he's still just a complete bastard. No one wants him around, but he also has nowhere else to go, so he just stays with them.
Yeah, and now Oda maybe has to get a little more creative with the reasons why he's there. He's kind of probably getting kind of bored of doing the heart thing over and over again.
Yeah.
He's not going to be a straw hat. He's just a lonely bastard. That's it.
Yeah. He just hangs out with them. No one wants him around, but he's just always there. It's perfect. Let's see, Brian, what did you think?
Oh yeah, one lonely bastard to another. My favorite part about this is just, like Casey was saying, the very subtle visual gags. The fucking sign was amazing, and also like head chef Steuben pulling out in the clutch. I did not expect that to go down the way it did, even though because I thought it would have been very brutal for have all the innocent citizens of Whole Cake Island just to be crushed by this castle. But one of my thinking behind the reason I suspect that Big Mom might actually start consuming her crew is that if everything goes down and that the Straw Hats are being blamed for the destruction of the Big Mom pirates, this would be one of the things that they could eventually be blamed for. It's like it was too soon for them to take down an emperor on their own yet. I think Kaido would be the first emperor, quote unquote, they take down. But if she takes herself out of the equation, then that just leaves more. That just speeds up the path towards One Piece, since they already have her road poneglyph. The red one, so it's like they don't really need to deal with Big Mom anymore, plot and structure wise for the story. So I think she'll probably just take herself out,
and Luffy will still get the notoriety,
right? And it's kind of consistent with everything we've seen of her backstory. Is that she'll take out her own loved ones just accidentally.
And I think even if she isn't taken out from this, like there were so many characters introduced, it was kind of like for a while it was like, how can they deal with all of her kids? Like there's too many characters for them to actually like go through, and if it turns out that it's because she eats most of them, like
yeah,
that
I think
answers that question.
I think it's kind of a new Fisherman Pirate scenario where we're led to think that they're going to be a larger force in this, but no, they're just in the way. That Oda will quickly get them out of the way. Also, Brooke and Chopper remind me of what was it, Return to Oz? If that anyone remembers that film.
Nope.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
Okay, it's just Jack Skellington and the Grump is like a reindeer moose head thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ed.
Oh man, this chapter was a lot of fun. A lot of great visual gags. I get to revisit my King Neptune voice. That's always fun. But just the way that they showed the scale of Whole Cake Island falling and like the sound effects of Streusen saving the whole thing. And Germa sort of glossed over in this chapter. I felt. I guess we're sort of getting to that maybe next week. Like I wonder where, like as I said, like Caesar has like, I guess he has like one of three ways he could go. He could try and go to Germa. He can go with the Straw Hats, or he can go with Capone.
And it seems to also have a history with Judge, but not a good history.
Right. But Capone being just sort of over the top villain, like starting with like the Big Mom pirates are ruined, and then the sign and the tracks. He's going over the top on it, but like I'm really enjoying that about him at this point. Love the scale of just the castle falling. That's always and the way everyone was covered with cake at the end of it. And I don't know, you guys really said everything at this point, but just Big Mom, like the Straw Hats will have enough time, I think, to get away at this point. with Big Mom just losing it like this unless Sanji decides to, try and save everyone's life. Because she's gonna kill everyone on the island probably because they can't remake that wedding cake. They'll see. I mean, unless Greg is ultimately proven right.
Yeah.
That's a detail that we kind of glossed over is that Strussen's cake isn't very good.
Right.
So, I think that does maybe hint at the fact that, through his powers, he can make stuff, but he's sort of a cheater and it's not very good. And so it's up to Sanji to make a good cake.
Did they say that
why
the
not?
cake
Why
that
not
Euron
just
had before was? They say the cake before was Strussen's cake.
No, it was a special cake.
Strussen probably prepared it, but they got ingredients from around Total.
Right, I imagine when Strussen transforms things into food, they retain the flavor of the thing that they were.
Yeah.
I would think that's the case because the wedding cake had specific ingredients that they got from all the other islands.
So when we first met him, he was eating steaks raw steaks that taste like wood pulp.
That actually sounds pretty okay. I don't.
That's how desperate he was until he found his meal ticket.
That's like kind of. Oh wow.
Well, this also explains why he is the failed piratical cook.
Yeah.
Piratical.
Ed, anything else that you want to mention?
No, Big Mom is gonna mess everything up.
So you guys really touched on, I think, the little parts of the chapter I really enjoyed. I want to mention though that I think this chapter, reshapes where we are in the arc to the point where a lot of the theories, especially that Greg has had, I think have a lot of credence. We talked a little bit about Sanji's preparation of the wedding cake there at the very end with Ed. I think this sets things up perfectly for that situation. I think it would definitely leave things on an interesting note if Sanji kind of rectifies things by preparing this cake or satiating the hunger pangs in this situation, or at least if the Straw Hat Pirates do that in some
why
way.
would he help them? Why would he help them?
To save pudding.
That would suck.
As much as that sucks, but it's possible.
Or to just save their own hide. I mean, that's a perfectly reasonable reason as well. Because she's going to be after people indiscriminately.
That's a better reason.
What would Zeph do?
He would, if someone's hungry, you cook for them. And also
Geen shows up out of nowhere. Remember, Sanji, what you did for me.
And also, Ed, you pointed out something earlier in the arc that I think could explain why the next events coming out of this could be so interesting, and that's that there's not really loyalty toward Big Mom, but fear toward her. And I think with her hunger pangs especially, she ate her own kid at the very beginning of the arc. Everyone remembers Charlotte Moscato, Minister of Gelato, our favorite character on the One Piece podcast. I could see the entire family who's all surrounding Big Mom at the moment fearing her, because we know, from what we've seen in the flashback, she is at her strongest during her hunger pangs. She's relatively unstoppable. So it's and we saw the fear in Smoothie's eyes, and Smoothie's probably no easy to beat, individual in the family. So it's possible that they even seek help from Sanji in some way. I feel like there needs to be some comeuppance for Sanji for this arc in that kind of way. I feel like that would make things a little more satisfying at the end of the day. I don't know if you guys would agree with that.
Yeah, I guess I wanted to say that the problem I've always had with the Luffy isn't ready to beat an emperor idea is just that coming back to Whole Cake Island for some reason it'd be going backwards in a story that's very much generally only pushed forward. So unless Big Mom leaves Whole Cake Island, I don't know that we're going to see a lot of her again.
Well, it's also possible that everyone unites against Big Mom, led by Luffy, including her family, because otherwise there's no way to stop her. It could go in that direction instead of cooking her a cake or baking her a cake.
Sure. But either way, whether it's a cake, whether it's a fight, whether it's something, I don't like the idea that we leave the Big Mom stuff unresolved. I know Luffy said, "I'll beat Kaido, then I'll beat you," and I still don't really understand the rationale behind that line.
Me neither.
Well, I feel like, if anything, we're not coming back to Whole Cake. It would be the Big Mom pirates pursuing the Straw Hats further through the sea.
Yeah, but that's
the other likelihood I can see.
But I don't like that either.
Big Mom has been Stoop Kid, afraid to leave her stoop. Like
Yeah.
she has to do it.
Well, maybe this like invigorate this new passion to like take out the Straw Hats will invigorate her and kind of like reunite her sense of piracy.
And that could be her character growth, is leaving this spot.
Yeah.
Just for vengeance, if nothing else.
Or even if not for, I mean, who even, I don't know. The idea that she's, if not an ally, at least someone not against Luffy at the end of this is something that's still somewhat intriguing to me. Even, I think the setup at the end of this chapter actually makes me feel like that's more likely. I'd say even a few chapters ago, I wouldn't have thought that was, or even last chapter, that wasn't very likely.
It could be that Sanji makes a cake so good she has to chase flavors around the world. For
Yes.
the
Or instead of Sanji being Sanji, for very different reasons, Big Mom follows Sanji in that kind of way, but not for the reason Sanji would, but for food reasons.
I think there's another thing that like keeps staring, like it's like staring me in the face as I just like pause in these last 2 pages, and maybe it's just a red herring, but like the way that Beige, rolls off into the sunset and is like laid out on the page, he's rolling right into Big Mom's mouth, kind of. Like he's going from the right side of the page to the left to Big Mom. Like, I don't know, that could be that could be nothing. Could just be how he went to lay out the page separately and didn't think about the 2-page spread overall, but that's a possibility that they have to go save Beige.
Save Beige. That'd be an interesting thing. After Beige kind of rejects them, they are, the bigger pirates and actually go save him.
Yeah.
Or maybe Beige just gets away and leaves. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, that's possible too.
It is a snooping time.
I've been kind of... Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, like, a big thing this chapter made me think of, and it's similar to the idea of, like, how it doesn't seem like they could really come back to Whole Cake Island later, like, in a story that's so focused on them going forward. This chapter and, like, the fact that they're escaping, but it's still hyped up as they're escaping, reminded me a lot of some of the advice from, and I can't remember the title of the book, but Araki's, the author of JoJo's recent book about his advice making
manga theory.
Yeah, craft and something or other. Anyway, everyone knows what book I'm talking about probably. And in that, there's a section where he talks about how like you can never have falling action. Like it always needs to be rising for his royal road to successful shonen manga, which I think is a little debatable. But I think here it's like kind of an example of doing that where they're escaping, they're running away. That should be like falling action. That should be kind of like a setback and going negative. But instead, by making it this huge spectacle, having the cake fall, it's still hyping up the action up and up, even though they're escaping, even though they're running away. So I don't know what that spells for the future, but interesting way of handling it.
I get that.
I agree with that idea as it pertains to this, because it's, and Araki's theory of negative momentum for One Piece and its sailing adventures, that's sailing back somewhere we've already been before.
Yeah.
We have to just go on to the next island and whatever adventures await there.
And this type of like hide and escape isn't something that's new to the series. Just think about Impelled Down or even In This Lobby. Like both of those had like really intense escape moments.
Any final thoughts on the chapter that haven't been touched upon?
While we've been talking about this, I've been kind of envisioning what the scene would look like to have Sanji making a cake to give to Big Mom. And I think when I first heard the idea, I was kind of imagining similar to what she had, a giant cake. But I think it might be a little more visually interesting and thematically interesting if he actually makes this very like small, very kind of classy Sanji-looking cake, and it's so good and so satisfying it stops her. Yeah, exactly.
I like that idea.
A little of the sort of like substance over style and things like that.
I feel like that would be...
He could make a giant cake and then everybody could have some, so who knows?
I mean, that is like the semla that she got addicted to, where initially she was eating little one-by-one things, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it could call back to that.
It would be a small cake to appease her inner child.
If that's possible. Well, it might have
if anybody can do it, Sanji can.
She has a lot of inner children.
The secret ingredient to Sanji's cake will be orphans. I think that'll conclude us for the manga recap. Why don't we get into the next segment?
Let's do it.
Toho, major film studio in Japan.
Yaro.
Guys.
We are Toho Yaro, the Toho guys.
We're a monthly movie club podcast where we watch a Japanese film and talk about it.
We discuss things like the existential dread of Akira Kurosawa's Ikiru,
and a cat portrait that barfs gallons of blood and house.
And just who is Tora-san?
Explore the world of giant monsters, historic swordsmen, and melodramatic truckers from Toho Studios and beyond with us,
Toho Yaro, part of the Maji Media Network, available wherever you get your podcasts.
We are Maji.
This is the double anime recap for episodes 796 and 797. I'm your host Sam, and today with me we have, as usual, we've got Ed.
Hello.
And joining us once again for the first time in a while, we've got our good friend Steve Yurko here. How's it going, Steve?
Hello. It's nice to be back on the show in some capacity.
This is a double anime recap, so we've got, because I didn't do it last week, so we've got 2 episodes ahead of us. I'd say this is We're nearing like kind of the iffier portion of this arc in the anime so far. I've been enjoying the ride, but now it's getting a little tiring. But
well, I was enjoying when the homies were being all creepy and there was a whole Thriller Bark feeling about it. But it's starting to drag a little
There's
bit.
a lot of Thriller Bark connections to make here.
Very horror.
Trees with faces.
Yeah.
The first episode is 796, The Land of Souls, Mom's Fatal Ability. I always love it when the titles just call her Mom. Not Big Mom, just Mom. Screenplay this week is by Shoji Yonemura. Episode director and storyboard artist is Satoshi Ito, and animation director is Shuichi Ito. 2 Itos, different people. I don't know if they're related, but this episode in particular covers the first 15 pages of chapter 835 in the manga. I think they basically just cut off the last 2-page spread at the end of that chapter. And this episode does one of the rare things where there's actually content before the title card. Starting at 4 minutes, 11 seconds, we get the Leave or Life scene where the people of Whole Cake Island are sort of arriving at this kind of church-looking place. I thought it was weird that like this area was so dim. Like it's like this place where everyone's supposed to like gather and give their soul to these like shadow men. The shadow men, but there's like no lighting in this building.
Yeah, this is actually one of the better parts of the episode. At least,
and it's you got these mysterious like shadow dudes doing the Leave or Life.
Almost, there's somewhat of like an enjoyment of their tone of saying it. Like it really sounds like the actors are like smiling as they're saying this. Like these shadowy men are getting a kick out of this.
The proper title card begins at 6 minutes and 2 seconds, which normally would feel like a pretty long recap, but like most of it's not even recap. So
that was like a minute and a half, dude.
Yeah. So it opens with Luffy dealing with all the barking animals that look like his friends, and he's just sort of really exhausted trying to tie them all up, trying to figure out who's who. There's one of them, one animal who looks like a Nami. He says, untie me, and Luffy is shocked that I can talk like a human. And it turns out that this is the real Nami. She hits him over the head for daring to treat her like an animal. But she's up and about now. She looks at her own clone, which I think is kind of doing an owl thing. I love all the owls in this group. Like there's like a pudding owl last in the episode before this one. There's a Nami owl this time. I think the owls are fantastic.
Well, it is nighttime after all, so.
And an animal version of Sanji may in fact be the real Sanji, because she just kind of approaches and starts cuddling up against her boobs, and she hits him on the head.
Some things don't change.
Nami's trying to explain to Luffy what happened to her and Chopper and Carrot, and we return to how the Brûlé scene began, where Brûlé has got Nami by the neck. She's like threatening to claw her face up with her nails, but Nami frees herself by basically jabbing Brûlé in the gut with her Climatech. And it becomes this like, we transition into this Carrot versus Carrot scene where Carrot is attacking Brûlé, but Brûlé like pulls up the mirror and Carrot's fist like comes back out at her and hits her in the face. Carrot is not deterred, and she goes for another attack, but this time she gets sucked into the mirror, and we don't know what's to happen to her as a result. There's a big kind of hubbub about the forest, and how Brûlé and the forest have been watching the Straw Hats this whole time, as per Big Mom's request, and that there's no escaping Big Mom. There's no there's no information that happens on Whole Cake Island that Big Mom does not know about. And that leads us to the eye catcher of the episode.
See, that shows what happened in the first half of this episode. I mean, the carrot and brulee stuff was nice, but not much else happened. We're already like halfway through the show.
Yeah, we continue the big fight with Brulee as Chopper enacts Monster Point, and he goes big and he starts thrashing everyone around. Brulee is kind of delighted to see this because apparently Big Mom is an unrivaled exotic animal collector, and that Chopper is the exact kind of creature that she would love to have. And that's Nami basically catching Luffy up completely on what he needs to know. Eventually, Nami basically Chopper and Carrot, they kind of disappeared, and Nami got stuck with the rest of the animals. So Nami, the person Nami wants to talk to, is the guy we've been calling Mr. Applejuice in the anime recaps so far. And she is wondering why the others are not attacking him at all. She finds that very suspicious. We continue to a scene where Big Mom and Cracker are sort of having a little meeting where Cracker's like, "Oh, I'll go take care of them." But Cracker looks enormous compared to Big Mom in the scene. Like I assume it's mostly supposed to be stylish, but like we already know Big Mom's like building sized, and apparently Cracker's like 3 times as big as that, which I don't think really tracks throughout the other episodes. But
Big Mom is definitely bigger than any other of the humans,
right?
But Cracker's special.
So Mr. Applejuice is now asking, okay, so Luffy, that you look pretty strong, but then he points to Nami and he's like, "Are you strong?" And Nami tries to bluff it and says, "Yes, I am," but it doesn't seem like she's all that confident in it.
You don't look pretty strong to me.
Yeah. And now Nami's also wondering why would the other, because Mr. Applejuice is explaining that the homies will, even against someone like Monster Point Chopper, who's clearly super strong, the homies will never stop attacking until their mission is complete. But they did seem to stop attacking Nami, which nobody is entirely sure why that would be. And Mr. Applejuice then has to explain Big Mom's devil fruit, which we get the confirmation is the soul fruit. And he tries to explain that the whole lever life thing. And in the episode, there was like kind of a little shot where they have lever life like written out and like explained in Japanese. So I'm wondering if that was a thing. Like, is this point in the episode where the Japanese audience would normally actually finally get what's going on with those shadow people? I don't know. It was a weird like language thing that I'm curious what the original intent there is. And we learned that the people that Big Mom can anthropomorphize are called the homies. Animals can be anthropomorphized, which leads me to the question that I always have: like, can Chopper be? Can someone put a soul inside a Chopper? Does Chopper not already have a soul?
No, at this point, yeah, he's half human, so
I guess. So does eating the human fruit give you a soul?
Well,
I have so many questions.
It's like Pet Cemetery all over again.
Yeah.
And the fake straw hats, that the animals that look like straw hats are
because
of Brulee's powers.
Remains.
And that's when a Cracker appears, and well, Cracker hasn't appeared yet. Like the episode's just teasing that he's about to appear.
Right.
But Mr. Applejuice then has to. He's kind of struggling to admit that he was once upon a time Big Mom's husband, and he's going just sort of saying over and over again. He's like, dream. It's kind of funny.
Annoying.
But finally, Cracker appears. He gets his big title card. He's Charlotte Cracker, the 10th son, one of the Sweet Three Generals, Minister of Biscuits. He's got a lot of titles.
Yep. But yeah, him showing up, that like felt sort of like what this whole episode was leading up to. We barely got any of it, and it's progressing very slow this episode.
Yeah, I liked how the manga version of this ended, where like what happens at the beginning of next episode is how the chapter ends, where he just pops Mr. Applejuice out of the ground.
Yeah.
But
They don't like to end on
2.
gags, I don't think. They like
Yeah, I guess not. Well, I mean, they're just looking wherever they can to stretch it out.
Seems that way.
This brings us to episode 797. A top officer, the Sweet 3 General Cracker appears. Screenplay this week is by Hitoshi Tanaka. Episode director and storyboard artist is Kentaro Fujita, and animation director is Isamu Takada. And this covers the last 2 pages of chapter 835 and the first 12 pages of 836. So they're still stretching it out. Title card begins at 5 minutes 26 seconds. So Cracker, they don't really confirm it, and Luffy didn't seem like he was super sure of it, but like it feels like Cracker's using hockey to kill like the homies and stuff. And like
he's like
souls
blowing
get sort of
like
blinked out of their souls
he's
just
like
sort of get
shooting
blinked out of their
heat
bodies.
heat out of his body or something like that. It looks like.
So yeah, basically it kind of backs up a bit before Cracker appears, and Luffy and Nami are shocked that Mr. Applejuice is Lin Lin's ex-husband, and he talks about having 2 daughters. I wonder who they could be. Then Cracker shows up, pulls him out of the ground. Luffy and Nami have these really great shocked faces as they realize that Mr. Applejuice is in fact not a giant. Although, I mean, like, at what point do you qualify as giant in this world?
When you're as big as like the guys from like Saul and the guys from Elbaf, I think. Yeah.
They have this little fantasy of like how tall they thought Mr. Applejuice was going to be, and he's got basically barely any body beneath the ground where we couldn't see before. And like everything kind of goes quiet as there's like this little xylophone music as Cracker's holding Mr. Applejuice up by the hair, and he's just sort of swinging. And Mr. Applejuice goes on to like sort of begging for his life. Is like, I just want to see my daughter Chiffon, even if just for a moment. I heard she got married. I want to give her my blessing. Obviously, we know that Chiffon is the Lola lookalike who married Beige Capone, and then she.
Now that I think about it, Mr. Applejuice is actually dressed like one of the Matsunos from Osamatsu-san. With his little turquoise jacket.
And then he just follows it up, just puts her right out there. Oh, and I heard my daughter Lola ran away, and Nami knows that name. You remember Pudding saying something about his sister running away.
Well, and if you don't remember, here's like a 5-minute flashback.
Yeah, here's like 2-3 minutes of flashbacks, just catching us up on all Lola-related things from Thriller Bark. And we finally make the connection that Lola and Big Mom might be related. So now, this basically just telling us that anyone who's got pink hair, yes, they're related. Let your imagination run wild, people. So Randolph and the Crane arrive again. There's this cool shot where the shadows are all black and they're going up to the moon and diving down. But Cracker shouts at him to stop, and he's using that sort of maybe hockey thing again. And a lot of homies just die, and the art is really great as you see like the dead corpses of the homies.
Yeah, that was very cool with him coming in like from the full moon like that.
And a lot of the dead homies is drawn like they're basically part of the background, so they look kind of beautiful and painted.
Mm-hmm.
And they do this little joke where Randolph is blaming it on the Crane. He's like, "Oh, he's the one who told me to keep attacking, even though you're here, Mr. Cracker."
They do. I like that Cracker turns into a Virtual Boy game for a second when he's telling off Randolph.
Explain.
So, because he's red and black.
Yeah, he's a red and black line art. It's definitely a Virtual Boy game.
So our good friend Brule returns with a face that is near and dear to manga readers' hearts, Mr. Kingbaum. Unfortunately, the tree puns don't really translate into the subtitle. But Brule uses her powers to turn the animals back, and she shows that she has Carrot and Chopper trapped in a mirror, and Luffy is wondering how this tree branch is talking, and Brule is very insulted.
She's no tree branch. I mean, like the way they draw her skin makes it look like it, though.
Oh yeah. Her skin is gray, just like King Baum is like this grayish white.
King Baum looks like he's dying. It's a big old white gray tree. It's like, oh god, cut him down.
I really like Brule's voice actor. I think she's really good at like playing up the pettiness. So Brule holding this mirror that has Chopper and Carrot in it, she just drops it and it shatters into a million pieces. Luffy and Nami are shocked, but it seems to be okay because Chopper and Carrot, they're alive. We can see bits and pieces of their faces. They assure us that they are safe in the mirror dimension. And Chopper seems to have some sort of plan.
And the rest.
Yeah.
Chopper's trying to get Luffy to listen in on some sort of plan that we don't get to hear at this moment. Cracker is dealing with Mr. Applejuice saying, Mama told me what she wants to do with you. And Mr. Applejuice, like, he looks happy. He's like, oh, does Linlin, does she want me back? Are we going to be a happy family? He's like, she told me I have the freedom to kill you. And that's not what Mr. Applejuice wanted to hear.
Technically, I'm your stepfather.
Yeah, technically, I'm your stepfather. Not anymore.
Shut up.
Yeah, shut up. So Cracker's about to kill Mr. Applejuice, but Luffy jumps in and saves the day, and Cracker asks him, is that out of sympathy? And Luffy responds, well, I've been running into him dozens of times, so of course I've become attached to him. And they sort of built up this big Luffy versus Cracker thing, but it's mostly just a lot of DBZ staring for now.
Yeah.
Nami and Pound are running away. Pound's not on the ground. Oh, we learned that his name is Pound finally. I can stop calling him Mr. Applejuice. His name is Pound, and they're running away. He's not on the ground anymore. He's asking, how do you know Lola? And she's like, oh, hold on. I have a thing that will be interesting if I can just dig it out of my cleavage first. And she's digging it for like a little bit there.
The unsexiest like zoom in on cleavage ever.
Eventually she finds it. It's Lola's fever card, and it's like we see it glowing like.
So.
Yeah,
she's it's glowing this purple aura that clearly the homies are reacting to. They're and she tells Pound that this is my friend Lola's mom's fever card, and Pound is shocked to hear this, and Nami's not 100% sure it's the same Lola yet, but we're pretty sure at this point. Yeah. And all the homies are like, oh, we can feel King Bomb especially is like, I can feel Mama's soul in that fever card, and they're all kind of scared and backing off. And to be continued.
Yep.
Any general thoughts, you guys?
Those were a couple episodes.
Yeah,
sure were.
The pacing.
Did you have any specific? Yeah,
the pacing is taking its time, and unfortunately, it's spoilers. I guess isn't the most brilliantly paced portion of this arc. So
I'm curious, like how many episodes this Cracker fight will take. Like,
yeah, I think
it felt like it went on for a little while.
The episode titles are online. Seems like it'll be a while.
I'd rather be surprised at this point then.
Yeah, it's definitely this is like because this whole arc's been slow, right? This whole arc's been slow, and this is the point where like my patience is being tested now.
The one thing that I commend them for is not splitting up the narrative across a bunch of different storylines. I do appreciate that. But it mostly stayed in one place, although not much in there.
Yeah, like leading up to the Seducing Woods, like everyone else was like, oh man, the Seducing Woods, that's gonna be so rough in the anime. But I'm like, I don't know, I bet it'll be fine. But it's getting a little exhausting. I think the problem right now is that like they've introduced Cracker, and like the Luffy versus Cracker fight goes on to be like pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, right now it just feels like another thing. It's just a bunch of like repetitive kind of hollow drama moments for the Straw Hats as we're like waiting for them to finally get out of the situation. And
I don't want to like spoil anything Sanji. Like too badly, but like there were aspects I think of the Cracker fight with Luffy that were designed to sort of be repetitive, and it worked I think in the manga to an extent. But I worry about what that'll get dragged out to, like when we do it again.
I wish they would like cut, because I noticed that in the next episode preview, they dropped the bounty bomb. They're like, oh, he's 860 million. I'm like, that's the kind of stuff we should be hearing right now, just so we know that this is a big deal right now. Because just the way it's paced right now, it's like I'm like the Seducing Woods can take a long time. They can have a lot. They can test patience. They can go through. They can enact a delay of gratification. I'm always cool when a long running shonen stuff is sort of stringing you along in like a strategic way. But right now, it's just kind of tiresome, and it doesn't feel like if you were an anime only watcher right now, it would just feel like another thing keeping him in the woods.
Yeah. Well, we'll see where it goes next week.
Yeah. The next episode preview looks great, so hopefully that will be the next shot of adrenaline.
Mm-hmm. Right on.
Anything else you guys want to say, or are we ready to move on to the next segment?
I'm just hoping, because I know they have potential to do some really cool things. I hope they take advantage of this fight with Cracker and Luffy, and I hope we get some cool visuals out of it. There's gonna be a lot of neat gimmicks in this fight, and I don't want to see it squandered to mediocre animation. But I think I think overall, I think the whole Cake Island stuff so far in the anime has been pretty good. I've recently caught up. I particularly really liked 793. I thought, even though it was paced similar to this with like, what was that, like half a chapter, Sam?
Mm-hmm.
It was half a chapter, but I felt it still told a complete story throughout the episode, and also the animation was really good, and they just nailed everything from just the animation to the tone. Everything was great in that particular episode. So I'm keeping the anime in good regard right now. For the future.
Yeah, you echoed my thoughts a lot on that episode, and those episodes, those Judge versus Sanji episodes, are a great example of like the anime really stretching things out, but like it's doing it to a dramatic effect that keeps you interested. Which is not what I would say about these last two episodes personally, but
yeah, I feel like we haven't, like I've only watched them as of this recording today, and they blurred together.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I think that should do it. Do you think? Are we good, guys?
Sounds good to me.
I'm good.
All right.
Cool.
Let's do it.
Okay. I do not want to welcome you to piece together the segment in which we would typically answer your questions, because I am a free man. I have my heart. I don't need this anymore, and I don't need you. Wait, where are you going? I'll answer anything you ask. Please come back.
No, we're okay. Why don't we start out, Ed, with Dispiece?
Dispiece.
Thank you. I think we only have one question from there, but remember, if you are a subscriber on Patreon at patreon.com/One Piece Podcast and join us on Discord, which the link is in every description for every episode, you could ask us questions exclusively. This one comes from Friend Frog. Summer's here, the sun is hot, I want to hear the answers you got. In honor of the summer, if you were to go on a week-long road trip with with up to 3 Straw Hats, who would you choose and where would you go?
Wow. I don't know. Someplace where it's not so hot this time of year.
Well,
even in Chicago.
Who would you go with, Ed, I think, would be the more interesting answer.
I think going anywhere with Frankie would be awesome.
But he wouldn't fit in your car.
He is a car.
That's true. Better gas mileage, probably. Well, different gas.
Cola.
Yeah, I don't know. I think hanging out with Robin would be pretty cool. And actually, Sanji would be pretty cool, too.
Got food on board there. Anyone else?
If Sanji would behave himself.
Yeah, the behaving might be a problem.
He's doing better.
I think absolutely the worst person to go would be Luffy. It'd be like managing an adult baby.
Well,
like doing what I want.
He would not let you use a GPS. Definitely not. He'd be the one, commanding that he should take the wheel, or just like telling you where to go. Yeah, I don't know. Anyone else?
You guys are burying the lead. Frankie would be great.
Yeah,
no, Frankie's awesome. We all agree on that.
Yeah,
I know. But he'd have all the repairs. He'd have everything set. He'd probably make the stuff better. Like, and
he'd probably
he's
it'd
just
have to be a
cool dude to hang
convertible.
with.
It'd have to be a convertible though. His body would have to hang out the top, which is awesome.
Or a
It's
Harley
like a reverse
Davidson.
Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah, I don't know. Or what was it?
Yeah, I
what
think
was
we've
it, Trevor?
determined that Frankie seems like the most chill guy to hang out with.
Yeah. Okay.
So my team would be Luffy, because I think, he might be a pain to manage, but also like I have a friend who's kind of like Luffy a little bit, who like I've traveled with, gone to Japan with, and it's fun to have someone who is like totally opposite my personality, because then it's like you're forced to go do things you wouldn't normally do, and to like explore things that you'd be otherwise like, oh, I'm too lazy to do that, whatever. So I think having someone be like, no, we need to go do that thing and that thing and that thing is nice and gets you outside your comfort zone. But also, in addition to Luffy, the two other companions would be Sanji and Pudding, and they'd have to get along, learn to like each other, and that would be a fun group.
This is a completely different manga.
We'd all learn something.
I know, right?
Yeah, that. Anyway, next question comes from Liam Tasker. Do you think that Zoro could get blamed by the people of Wano for stealing Ryuma's corpse?
Yes, that's almost certainly going to
yeah.
happen. I mean, besides the fact that he's allied with like the rebel faction of the island already, so it's going to be fun to blame him for stuff even that he didn't do.
Yeah, and as
That's fine.
Liam also mentioned with Kinemon was also very upset about that when he found out. So I could imagine that coming back there. Next one comes from Nacro 2005. Hey, I hope that's not when he was born. Hey, One Piece crew.
It's possible.
Very possible. Hey, One Piece crew, with Beige just taking off and leaving the Straw Hats behind, isn't this the perfect time for Peckham's to show up and get his revenge on Beige by stopping his escape?
That
Good
was
point.
something we had not mentioned yet.
Mhm.
Yes, that is a good
Very, very, very excellent and astute observation about where the plot could go. Very
From
good.
someone who was born in 2005 maybe.
I gotta watch out for that guy. He's gonna be an awesome storyteller. That person.
I just can't. I remember 2005 vivid. I met Ed in 2005. Anyway,
That's right.
wow.
I mean,
Okay.
I remember finding Shonen Jump when I was 12, so they'd be 12 now. That's
Maybe I should
So-
censor some of the language.
I remember 1985. So yes, I'm
Oh.
old.
Wow. Okay. I don't. Black North Wind says, hello, One Piece podcast, I assume he means. With One Piece's 20th anniversary, what are your favorite unpopular and or minor moments in One Piece? For him, it was when Zoro tells Chopper to man up during the Davy back fight.
That's a pretty major moment, I thought.
There's a major moment of that arc, but maybe not a major moment in the series.
I don't remember
I don't know.
having recently read the series, so
Based on the responses we sometimes get, or at least that I've heard, I isn't the Davy back fight itself an unpopular moment to champion?
I hope
Yeah,
not. That's so
a lot
fun.
of people. A lot of people complain about that arc. I don't get it. I love it.
It's a wonderful arc.
I
Yeah,
think
it's
I think
great.
it's a generational thing. Even like I think the younger fans or newer fans aren't as much into it, just because and some of the much older fans don't like it because it dragged on after an arc that had dragged on. But I think those who marathon through the series, it's just such a nice little reprieve.
I think like actually I want to talk about the introduction of Zoro with his plot line when he was introduced was like that he was protecting the little girl in the town, Rika, and the little bit with the rice balls always made me feel like Zoro had a heart down there. So
Yeah, I
That's
think
always
you and
good.
I agree that was what made us Zoro fans initially.
You know?
The fact you just eat that crusty, dirty
Yeah.
rice ball. Tell the little girl this rice ball is delicious.
you know,
You ate every crumb.
he's a good guy.
Ed is Zoro obsessed is really the takeaway here. Swordmaster21 asks, do you believe that the impending tantrum would cause the residents of Whole Cake Island to evacuate to the Germa Kingdom? The German folk style of Totoland entering the Nazi-inspired Germa could be the force that redeems Judge if that ever happens, or makes them have to face Big Mom in the future. Big Mom was introduced this arc in a kaiju-like state rampaging through the city, and the Super Sentai are well known for fighting giant monsters. This is a good point. I wanted to mention, completely forgot to mention, kind of Germa being this, again, this wild card element, and what they do next.
I'd never considered a whole cake refugee crisis, though. That's an interesting idea.
Well, you know how Germa
Ripped from the
feels.
headlines.
Yeah, Germa does not take any refugees.
Yeah.
Especially if their inspiration there is to be, believed.
Well, I think it was also interesting. They're alluding to the fact that like Germany being like the land of chocolate and Whole Cake Island being a land of sweets, then like them all the German citizens going over to the Nazis. Essentially, it's like the transition from pre-World War II Germany into like current World War II Germany.
Yeah, well, maybe we shouldn't be getting too political about this. Let's talk about Kaiju versus Super Sentai. Is that something you guys seeing here?
Possibly. I like the biggest kaiju was Big Father, and then and Big Mom took him down already. I don't know. So that makes me feel like she's not so big anymore.
Okay, let's move to the next question then. Luminilus says, "Howdy fellas, long time fan of the podcast, but it's been a long time since I wrote in for the piece together." I guess long time would be what that is. Anyway, I recently reread the entire manga, and one of the things that really wowed me with the post-time skip content is how I could start to see the general shape of the end of this series. Luffy eventually becoming the Pirate King becomes more real with each arc in a way that's starting to feel tangible, at least to me. Are there any moments where you felt like you've seen the shape of things to come? I guess even
You wrote an article about it.
Yes, I mean, I'll abstain. Please read the One Piece Connection on One Piece
Or listen to it.
Or listen to it, yeah. Also available on our SoundCloud and iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever. But Casey and Jeff, you marathon through this originally to just about where we are today. Did you feel that shape coming together as like first-time marathon readers?
I'll let Jeff go first on this one.
In terms of like where we are in the story, because I do feel like the stuff in Zoe was the first time where it was like, yeah, this is like there's an end in sight. It's still taking form of what that shape is going to be, but that was the first moment where it was like, okay, things are coming into clear a little bit. But I have a question for you guys who have been like following the color spreads and covers more closely, because I've noticed in some of the more recent ones, like this one, I noticed it, and in like the recent, I guess at the beginning of this year when it was like kicked off the year of One Piece and Shonen Jump, that they typically depict Luffy in that kind of I think it resembles the like the red cloak that now I'm totally blanking his name, that Roger had. And
oh yeah.
So I'm wondering, is that like a more recent thing that Oda started depicting him in that kind of regal thing?
He's done that from Luffy since the beginning. I believe it was Volume 3 has Luffy holding a jacket like that and Zoro like right beneath him.
Okay, so that's not a recent. I was like, oh, maybe that means that's like a sign that it's in the second half and it's aiming towards that. But okay, that's been from the beginning.
No,
so
it's just their own kind of like a pirate captain cloak.
Okay.
I think Oda also had a comment in Shonen Jump. Was it this week, or I saw it floating around? Just kind of, I think, saying stick through the rest of the series or something like that. We're almost there.
Or it was like almost there, yeah.
Yeah, which I mean, for Oda, he's been saying that for like 15 years, at least. So I would take it with a grain of salt. But the man needs some sleep, so I wouldn't mind if we see more and more of that kind of thing. I definitely agree with him with the Reddit user here. I think we definitely have been seeing that big picture story really piecing together. No pun intended there. Well, a little bit intended. Anyway, I think we've been seeing that since the beginning of the series, and I think the thing is now we just have a lot more pieces. Wow, this is really getting a little bit.
Oda's always been very good about plotting, because ever since, like, when we hit the war, we definitely understood this is the middle of the series, essentially.
Yeah.
But I mean, the idea that there's a bigger picture, like that's been apparent from the very beginning. I mean, the first thing we know is that there is this thing called the One Piece, and this famous pirate who we've never met left it there. And ever since then, it's sort of propelled in that direction. Like I said, I think one of the big strengths of One Piece is that it's always moving forward. It doesn't go backwards. We're always to a new island, to a new place. Like, going back to Araki's theory of rising action, the rising action can be an escape. It doesn't always have to be a fight, because the rising action in One Piece is the wind through the sails that propels you to the next adventure, to the next, as Oda called them in that interview with Taiyo Matsumoto I was tweeting about. He refers to One Piece as like, his grand amusement park, where every new island can be a new world to explore. But at the same time, it's all been held together by this very simplistic demand from Luffy that he's going to be king of the pirates. And you really don't need anything more complex than that. Like that's always been the bigger picture. And as, new characters and new players appear, the idea that we're going to eventually get there certainly rises. I think it's even before like Zoe. I think it's really when we meet like Silver's Rayleigh and stuff and the celestial dragons and things that suddenly you have this very large impression that we're perhaps finally advancing to what we've been going for all along. And also as the mythology of the poneglyphs and things have been introduced. But yeah, I really think that especially from a marathon standpoint, I've always thought the big picture was in sight. It was just a very distant horizon, and the farther away, the better.
But Zoe, what Zoe gave us was like a number of poneglyphs to find, and a sort of like specific map that really, but that more so than you ever could beforehand, could have conversations with people saying like, exactly how many story arcs do you think we have left, and things like that, because we have such a sort of concrete, Oda's of course able to have diversions and add in other story parts, but we're really getting at a point where we're getting a much more limited number of things that was like kind of laid out in front of us that we need to cover until the end.
I'd even say I felt like I was entering that bigger world as early as Logtown. And certainly in the anime where they had that whole Roger kind of storyline filler thing. Which,
I was going to say, wasn't that the chapter that Shimabukuro was talking about in the one-shot this week? Chapter 100?
Yeah. And when they put their feet on the barrel and break the barrel, that's a very big moment in the series. Like, they're setting off, and they're as a reader, they're going to do all these things, because that's just how a shonen series works. It's going to happen. So it makes it... Go ahead.
I was going to say, we've mentioned this specific moment before, but like for me, one of the first really big picture moments was just the introduction of Mihawk. Like, the way that instantly expands the world into something much bigger than like we're going to just fight these pirate villains of the week every few chapters. Like, no, there is a much greater threat in this world, and Don Krieg not being able to cross the Grand Line and all this stuff.
Yeah, just the scale of Mihawk's power showed you how big the world was, and I fucking love that chapter.
It was also such a great, like, that arc in particular. Like, I don't think the Barati arc like is that strong looking back at it, but just the ability to introduce Mihawk, have Nami leave, and have Don Krieg like failing at the Grand Line and stuff. It set up so many threads at once that was like, there's so much to this world. Like, it was the first time where it was like things went in several different directions, and you were like, there's lots going on, there's lots to this world. But I do think, like, as much as even from that point on, like, One Piece as like its primary strength, to me at least, is how big the world is and how like planned out it feels. Even though clearly he's making up stuff as he goes along, but like it feels consistent and it feels coherent within that framework. But I think Zoe was the first point where it was like, here is like, the end point is the final island, Raftel. But like Zoe was the first point. It was like, here are the steps to get there, and it was like, here are some breadcrumbs that like start to be like, okay, working back from that, we can see like, and you start to like the things you get to right before Raftel, at least. And I mean, the initial question of like, when did we start seeing the end? It's kind of where I saw the end. But I mean, One Piece's biggest strength is building this whole wide world. So it's been doing that from the beginning, or I mean, from Barati.
Just about the beginning. For Baratier, we talked on the read-through way back. The reason I think that arc suffers is because the beginning of it is so unbelievable, and the middle and end are just not. They're fine, but I don't think they're. It just is such an explosive start to that arc with Mihawk and everything that you talked about.
It's hard for anything else to compare to Mihawk, and that's
right.
Not necessarily the fault of what comes after. It's just it's impossible to measure out.
So Don Krieg,
Well, Well,
But-
especially because the first thing we know about Don Krieg is that he was a failure. He's a small fish in a big pond.
Failed
One of my
political.
He's one of my favorites, just because he's such a thug.
He's definitely that.
Don Krieg for Straw Hat, 2017.
I mean, the Don Krieg, what was it, 10,000 or whatever the design was from Oda? Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll still see him again. I
No.
hold that hope.
What is wrong with you?
Come on.
No.
Come on.
I think he'd have a similar role to. Oh no, I forget his name, but the guy with the springy legs.
Oh, Bellamy?
Bellamy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm
that
not
was,
saying he's going to come back as a major character, just like in the background.
yeah, I'm
I think
okay.
he should come back, and Geen for sure.
Geen, I agree, but I'm shocked he hasn't
I'll be
come back
surprised
yet.
if we see Kuro or Krieg again, just based on their ambitions and where we left them.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, if we see
could
Kuro,
be-
he's going to be retired on an island somewhere. And remember, guys, he was 35.
Oh, come on.
Now you know how I felt about Wapple, who is Ed's age now. I'm older than Wapple. Anyway, let's get into our next segment. Ed, it's
What?
time to...
Reddit?
No, we've been doing Reddit. I probably
No.
should have mentioned that.
You should have told me that.
Yeah.
I mean, because the Reddit song is what?
No, it's time. What is it time for, Ed?
Peace the tweet.
I thought you actually forgot the Piece of the Tweet song there for a second.
Oh,
It's only been 8 years of you doing that same thing every single week. What do we
first
got?
one comes from Spooky Ely, who says, "What is your favorite Jolly Roger in One Piece?" I'll be honest. I think mine is for design purely. I think it's Arlong's. I love that circular and with the serrated thing. It looks really cool.
Oof, this is a hard one. I actually really
I got
like.
mine.
I really like Wapples actually. Not one that's used very often, but I like the
Ooh.
metal jaw kind of Jolly Roger.
It's simple, it's effective, and I still protest that Blackbeard will be the last boss of the series. Blackbeard Pirates, the triple skulls. It's really intimidating.
Doflamingos as well.
Oh yeah,
Very simple.
that's a good one. I like that one.
Another one that's simple and good is Shanks's. The Redbeard Pirates one. I really like that one.
Fair enough. Next one comes from Emil Nordpool, who says, "Do you think Big Mom will still want to fight Luffy after he beats Kaido? This might be the outcome of the whole Cake Island conflict." I think we're getting too far ahead of ourselves here. Like, I don't even know if Big Mom's going to be able to do any damage after this arc. We don't know what she's going to do at all.
Yeah, someone had written in. I hadn't read the question, but he thought that it was very predictable what happens next, and then I felt stupid because I don't know what the hell's gonna happen next.
He must have Katakuri's powers or something.
Must.
All right, next one comes from some guy named Mo, who says,
Hi, Mo.
Who in the Straw Hat crew would eat in a food eating contest? Luffy was not invited.
So
Food
who's the fastest eater besides Luffy, or best eater? I think.
Oh man,
I'm feeling like Zoro for some reason.
I was thinking Usopp. He's the best drinker. I mean, he could.
Yeah.
I think it might be Usopp. Usopp has the capability of gluttony. We've seen.
Yeah.
Just for comedy's sake, I would pick Brooke.
We had
He'll just
fat
fall right through.
fat Usopp right before the time skip.
Right.
So yeah, I think he could do it. I don't think he would want to. He's fit now, but
Well, but he's got that lean eating ability, like a hot dog eating champion.
Was he ever not fit though? Like he still had a 6-pack before the time skip, right?
no, he got super fat like right before.
Yeah, when he was on the Boeing
Yeah,
Boing Boing Archipelago.
but the rest of it, you're right.
Yeah,
He
I mean, he starts out kind of scrawny, actually. But
He's a little like his muscles are less prominent, so he has muscles, but I think now he looks a little more buff than he used to.
yeah. Our very own Chow asks, "What kind of bird is Morgan's?"
Oh, okay, I have this one. So he's a big bird, of course.
Mhm.
So Big Bird and I'm going by PBS canon. I'm talking about Sesame Street, and I'm talking about the crossover with Mr. Rogers. I don't count the books or the Hollywood Squares appearances or any of that other stuff.
Oh boy.
You've watched
Big
it
Bird
all,
says that
though.
he's a golden condor.
Ooh.
So on those examples, Big Bird says he's
So-
a golden
so
condor.
he can't-
So he's a condor.
So why
you know
can't
why
he
it's a golden
fly?
condor, Zach? You want to know why? Because
Why?
it's yellow journalism.
But
So-
the true answer to this is Big News Morgans is a Muppet. The world government, defunded his version of PBS, and now he's looking out for the number one and the letter I. All he needs in this life.
Oh man.
So, a few things. Golden condors could fly, I believe. Second,
But golden condor Muppets cannot.
Right.
That's fair.
This is fair.
Big News Morgan can't fly because he's holding his camera, maybe. is the issue.
Last week we discussed that maybe he was a foghorn leghorn type, but the thing is he is definitely not a leghorn rooster, because the rooster would have what Baron Tamago currently has, and he doesn't really look anything like that.
You mean
Waddle?
chin testicles?
Yes, that. Thank you, Brian. So I guess I would agree with Casey there.
Yeah, he's a Muppet. Sorry.
He's not quite a puppet, but when you get him going, I don't know what he is. Yeah.
Is he a man or is he a Muppet of a man?
All right, next one comes from Enoshitas, who says, do you think Caesar is actually 100% free, or he'll end up back with someone and have to see or work with the Straw Hats again? And as I said, I posited earlier that he has three options of where to go. Now, where do you guys think he will go?
There's a fourth of staying with Big Mom, I guess.
He doesn't have a death wish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Brule would rat him out right in a heartbeat if she's still around. So
I hope he goes with a gang and continues his Gastino persona.
I just want him to hang out with the Straw Hats, with none of them wanting him there. I stand by
I
this.
just want him around, but deeply unhappy.
Yes. Yeah.
He's like a
Yeah,
cross
yeah.
between Caribou and Buggy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
He's a little grosser than Buggy.
Oh, what'll be great? Oh, if someone could draw this, I want him to do the thing that Vivi did at the end of Alabasta with the arm up, but that no one else responds to it. Just
It's like Garfield without Garfield. It's like that page without the Straw Hat.
basically, or no, the Straw Hats are there, but they're not paying attention at all.
Right.
And he's just like, "No, I thought I was part of this crew."
Oh, that would be amazing.
Don't you forget about me.
It would be oh, it's amazing.
Alrighty.
If only we never used that title, which we totally did, I think. Yeah.
All right, Dortmund Dave asks, do you think we'll see backstory for all big arc villains going forward? If so, any totally premature theories?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Kaido is the egg on Gold Roger's ship.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still weirded out that there's a giant egg on his ship. Like, what?
Wait, when was this revealed?
Oh, we talked about this
God.
last week with Roger. Look at Chapter 0. There is a giant egg on his ship.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, I
Yes.
gotta check this out.
And
Okay.
so
Isn't
Roger
the
was
first thing that we
thinking
learned about
that-
Kaido that he wants to die?
Yeah, because he's a giant egg.
And
Have you
Roger
re-
was saying that like Kaido is not actually a man with a dragon fruit, but perhaps a dragon with like a man or
With a man
oni
fruit.
fruit or something like that.
Haven't you read Humpty Dumpty, Brian?
My little theory that I like about Blackbeard is that he's not actually a D. That kind of goes along with his theme, as he's the sort of like part of piracy that's stealing, and he steals other people's powers. And there's that part of him, like as a little kid, that drawing of him as a little kid crying at the moon. I've always kind of thought that would be interesting if that was him knowing about the D's and knowing about the history with the moon and not being part of it, but wanting to be part of it.
What about Shanks? We've seen a little bit about his backstory, but not much. Would you be interested in seeing Shanks' backstory?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I think everyone's interested. It's more like would it ruin some of the like appeal of
The
him if we
mystique.
got it?
Yeah.
Well, no,
Yeah.
If anything,
Yeah,
the-
I think he's the only character that we could be told nothing about and still work.
Yeah.
Like,
But
how
the
does
rest
that
of them
hat
have some-
from Roger. Like, where does
Yeah,
that
that's-
relationship come from?
I actually think the Shanks backstory might be the Roger backstory. It might
Right.
be how we find out more about old Roger.
I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, next
Yeah,
one. comes
I think
from-
there could have. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say like I think there could have been a point before we got the time skip and the Luffy backstory that people would have. I don't know what you guys thought at the time, but like could have thought like, oh, getting backstory on Luffy would be bad. Like we got everything we need about Luffy. We don't need more about Luffy. But getting his backstory was great for a lot of different things. And so if handled well, I think there's totally potential.
Mhm.
Even if
Yeah, I didn't even realize that pieces were missing from Luffy's story, really.
yeah,
I felt that at the time for sure, where I was like, "Oh, are we really doing this?" But now, after the whole Sabo Ace thing, I'm like, that was necessary.
Well, I mean, the Luffy pieces are going to have to come into play though, with at least Dragon's parent, being their parent.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
still need Luffy's mom. If we don't find out who Luffy's mother is, I'm gonna
It's
be.
the
really
Dawn. Just Brian, it's the
I
Dawn.
love the Dawn. Like, come on, birth mothers, where are you?
It's
Sisters,
One Piece.
yeah.
There's one birth mother we've seen, and that's Charlotte Chiffon. And that's it.
Big Mom. Big Mom has all these birth
Who
kids.
the hell knows what that
and,
is?
Robin's mom.
and Usopp's mom.
Okay, you've proven your point. I was wrong. Okay.
Did Robin have a
But it
dad?
is still a story about adopted families and the families that you choose. So I go
Yes.
with that.
All right. Next one comes from Matt Martin, who says, "Do you guys see Caesar's story continuing in the main story with the future Kaido or Big Mom stuff, or on a cover story? Aside from the Four Emperors, I could see him looking to join with Buggy. After all, teaming up with his fellow clowns crew would give him the immunity he had under Doflamingo. Plus, they've got a mutual hate for the Straw Hats. So, Buggy and Caesar team up.
I would love that. So
Doesn't
yes.
seem likely at this point. Like, where even is Buggy right now? You know, it's gonna take a
Well,
while.
but in One Piece, you can kind of disappear off screen and reappear anywhere else.
That's true.
Yeah.
I bet you they
Well, I
meet.
mean, actually, he's coming for a showdown with Luffy because he's stealing all of his giants.
I bet you they
Oh,
meet in
yeah.
Elbaf, and if Caesar's somehow still around, that would be the opportunity.
Caesar
Yeah.
could make him giants. If he wants giants so
No,
bad.
he can't. He never
He could
figured that
offer
out.
From now on,
You
you're
can- you can
drinking
promise
this
it.
brain and nerve tonic. It causes gigantism, but only in rare cases.
a gag I just thought of that could be fun for like it wouldn't be anything more than like a cover story, but like Caesar just dropping his heart in random places to be like, oh, maybe they'll find it and threaten me, and then I'll be forced to tag along with them. Like,
I like that one. I like that one.
Like Luffy just finds it under his hat at some point.
It's like, dude, no, get away.
He'd leave it in a cab on accident.
Okay, Luffy, I'll join the crew, but only because you're holding my heart. Mm.
Ed?
Okay, next one comes from It's Aura. It says, "Who do you think will teach Usopp how to control his haki?" Are we kind of beyond that at this point?
does he need someone to teach him?
Yeah, I didn't think that was a. What is this, Star
Yeah.
Wars? I mean,
Yeah, he's learning on his own. He's fine.
I just don't know if we're gonna have time to do anything like that anymore.
I mean, yeah, if Usopp's going to have anything, it's just going to be meeting his dad at sea somewhere, and it'll be more of a moral thing than a power-up thing.
or he'll say afterward, "Oh, Zoro helped me with this or whatever." I like, who the hell knows?
We would never say that. We just assume it.
Yeah.
All right, next one comes from Quip Quest, who says, "What if Big Mom can still swim? She ate the user, not the fruit. Unique devil fruit power acquisition could be a clever loophole."
What did a lawyer write the rules for devil fruit?
They're magic fruits. I don't think she can swim. I'm gonna go on
Yeah,
a
that's
limb
it.
there.
That's a good trying to work the loophole. I'm sure she may have, if she figured out how she got her power, she may have tried that at one point.
Yeah, actually,
I
wonder
also,
what she
still
thinks.
feel like it's a very psychological thing with
Well,
her
there's a
inability
point-
to leave.
Right. There's a point at which Carmel dies inside of Big Mom, so I guess she just sort of sprouts the fruit at that
right
point
inside of her.
and just automatically digests.
I wonder how she like realized that she had a devil fruit power, like because
you never-
she must know the restrictions and everything, and
She was
Well,
way too young when she got her power. She was like 5.
It was her
Okay,
6th
so-
birthday, right? Or 7th?
Oh,
Sixth,
6. That's
yeah.
right. She was 6. Yeah.
here's a devil fruit thing that like everybody that eats one though immediately seems to know the name of their fruit and what kind of name man that makes them.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering, it's like, is that like a
It comes
like
with
a
the fruit.
persona, thou art I and I am thou kind of thing, or?
I mean, isn't it the same thing with like stands in JoJo or something? Like,
Yeah.
You get to name it.
Well, I mean, Kira named his own stand, so.
Anyway, what's next?
But the fruits have specific names even beyond their users.
That's true, and there are devil fruit
That's
books.
just according to the people who write the books. I mean, I feel
Well,
like you
true,
can call it pretty much anything you want.
Maybe the devil fruit is a parasite that leaches into your brain and gives you information in addition to all the powers.
Now we're
That's a good
talking about some logical crap.
There we go. Okay, next one comes from Pepsi Rules 09. It says, I wish Bedge would have said, gee, ain't I a stinker after placing that sign. Yes.
Yes.
It would have been good. And finally, 91 Ryan says, anyone else feel like today's chapter felt a little cartoony? It's tiny, it's toony, it's all a little loony.
Yeah.
Let's be fair, it's a comic and a cartoon, so not ridiculous. Yeah.
It's also the 20th anniversary of One Piece, which is a series that's made its reputation on being somewhat cartoony compared to everything else in Jump.
Yeah, I don't think Ryan was being negative about it either. So.
No. It definitely did feel cartoonier than usual. But
I'm always offended by the fact that cartoony gets used as a pejorative.
I'm not using it pejoratively, but yeah,
I'm not saying you are. I'm saying when people do that.
You do work
And
on cartoons.
One Piece is the
so
recipient of that kind of derisive commentary a lot.
It is. I
Dragon Ball back in the day.
I can't watch this. It's too cartoony. Well, it is an animated cartoon.
Also, just think of the arc we're in. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen those elements, but especially early on when we were first being introduced to Whole Cake Island, it had a very like early Disney feel. Yeah, with all the sort of cartoon homies and things running around. So.
Yeah, definitely.
That's true.
Yeah, so we've upgraded from Disney to Looney Tunes, and
is that an upgrade? I think
it is chronologically, right?
Yes, I mean technically, yeah. Okay, that's gonna do it for Piece Together. You guys ready to round off?
Sure.
Yeah.
This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 478 for July 17th, 2017. Thank you all so much for coming on the show this week. We did a manga recap of chapter 872. One of those. We also did a double anime recap. We had some Piece Together for you. We are going to have a special episode on Friday, and Ed and/or Steve will be hosting that episode. We're going to talk about Shimabukuro. That's his name, right?
Yes.
That
was good, Zach. That was good.
Thank you. The creator of Toriko made a one-shot comic all about his and Oda's relationship. We talked a little bit about it on this episode, but we'll be doing a full recap and discussion about that on Friday. We also have a lot of other cool surprises and things for you. We might also have our One Piece magazine recap. It's a little bit up in the air at the moment, and we'll definitely be talking about the fact that it has been 20 years since One Piece premiered. So check that out on Friday. We also have our normal episode that following Monday night, so please stay tuned for that. And we will be at Otakon. That'll be me, Ed, Steve, Alex, Kelly, Casey, and a mysterious person who may or may not be in here right now, but I'm not sure who it could be. No, not you, Ed. Anyway, so you can check that all out. Otakon, again, is August 11th through 13th. But how could the good people find you guys? Casey, where could people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Manovsky Article, where I talk a lot about manga and art house movies of late. Also, you can catch me in DC for Otakon. I probably won't be there for the full weekend, but I'll make an appearance for at least a day or two. And also, the week of Anime Fest in Dallas. One of my favorite directors, Masaki Uasa, is going to be there, and also Sayo Yamamoto of Yuri on Ice, and many, many other creators that I like. So I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be hanging with Sam Leach, Warone, and quite a few fans of the One Piece podcast. So if you see me in either place, come say hi.
Thank you, Casey. Nice to have you back on this week as well. Brian, where could people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Dark King Zoro, all one word. Banendorf for some old deviant artwork. You can check out our podcast, the Animation Success Stories podcast. That's the ASS podcast on YouTube.
I get it.
I believe this week. Yes, this week we had a friend of Justin Royal and friend of the show, Op-Ed Gate, based on Community's Op-Ed. He wrote some skits for Rick and Morty in seasons 1 and 2.
Wait, isn't that the other way? Isn't that the other way around? That he's the guy,
the inspiration for
Is that what I said?
The basis.
You just made it sound like he was basing his life off of the guy from the show.
No.
You also said friend of the show. I assume you mean the Animation Success Stories podcast and not this one. Though we'd love to have him on if he does watch or read One Piece.
He hasn't watched. He's a big Popeye fan, but he's not. I have not got him in the One Piece yet.
It's halfway there, as we learned this week.
It's an easy transition.
It's a very easy transition.
Yeah, that's on it should be a no-brainer. And then let's see, I'll be at Comic-Con this Friday at the Rick and Morty panel. It should be at 1:30. Then new episodes of Rick and Morty start July 30th.
Yes,
I believe.
You were correct.
Okay, so I am correct on that.
You could stop asking Brian now.
Yeah,
I'm not even on that show. I don't even work on that show, but that promo you guys just dropped, the Exquisite Corpse promo, is incredible.
Yes.
It's a really great piece of experimental animation. So even if you're not a Rick and Morty fan, go look for the Exquisite Corpse trailer. It's awesome.
Yeah, they spent some time and some money on that. I know some of the artists in that trailer, but I didn't know that was going to go through that way. They never tell us any. And then what else have I done?
Teen Titans Go?
Yeah, Teen Titans Go's on. I haven't worked on that for a while, but support it because a lot of my friends are on it. And then right now, Kapow is already canceled by Disney, so yay.
Oh,
It happened.
Brian.
But that's it.
Cool. Thank you, Brian. Always nice to have you back on the show as well. Joey, where can people find you?
Yeah, they can find me on Twitter, Joey Weiser on Twitter, whatever. Find it however you find Twitter people. And, there I talk about all sorts of stuff. And then joeyweiser.tumblr.com is where I post news about my career as a cartoonist. Please read the Merman graphic novel series, which book 5, the final volume, just came out. And that's available in hardcover, softcover, and digital. Also, I recently announced that I'm going to have a backup story in the first issue of Rich Tomaso's Spy Seal coming in August. And that's a really fun comic. And he asked me specifically to do a ninja comic. So I got to sort of pull on some of my muscles from being super into Japanese film and poured a lot of that into that story. So please, go take a look at that. Spy Seal is going to roll anyway. But speaking of Japanese movies, please listen to my podcast, Toho Yaro, that I make monthly with One Piece Podcast's host on hiatus, Alex, and our friend Scott. We just released an episode on Lady Snowblood, which was really great and insightful. And we are about to record our next episode about Seijin Suzuki's Tokyo Drifter.
All right.
It's a great podcast. If you don't listen to it, you should. I learned a lot about Lady Snowblood and need to watch it now.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I should note that, a lot of the movies that we talk about are older and are not necessarily movies that you have to, stay away from spoilers to enjoy. So if you haven't seen a movie, you might listen to us recap it anyway. And
except for Fish Story.
Fish Story, stay away from that one. But we warn you up front on that. But, please check out the show. It's a lot of fun to make.
And Jeff, where can people find you?
I am Jeffling Jeff on Twitter, where I guess I talk about manga and Shonen Jump and anime and stuff in general. I'm currently working on a project to catalog the 106 different Game of Thrones podcasts, because oh my god, there are million of them, and
That
kind of
always
trying
happens
to-
with all those super popular series. I mean, I remember at least with Lost, there were like 30,
Oh yeah,
50, 100 of those.
yeah. Game of Thrones is definitely the like upper limit these days, but like, so I'm kind of testing the system with the most extreme version I can to build something that doesn't take forever to gather all that information. But yeah, because anyway, so maybe I'll have something to show for that in the next week or so. But also, you should check out the official Shonen Jump and Viz apps to read Shonen Jump and other Viz manga and work on those. And you can let me know if you have suggestions or complaints on Twitter. And I also do a couple podcasts, Podigus, which is a Digimon podcast currently covering Digimon Frontier, which is a notoriously unloved season of Digimon, and we just covered the most unloved arc of that season. It's kind of like the endless eight of that season. And I also co-host a podcast called Don't Nihongo It Alone, which is about the like a monthly check-in about learning Japanese. So if you're interested in learning Japanese or you are learning Japanese yourself, it's a good way to learn about things and follow along with us. So check those out.
I actually read Shonen Jump on the app for the first time in a while because I usually read it on the computer. And it's changed so much. Even it must only be like a month or two since last time I used it on my phone. But you guys have been putting a lot of hard work into that. You can definitely tell. I even remember you mentioning the download screen changes, and it definitely looks a lot cooler. So yeah, keep up the good work there, Jeff. And Ed,
Thanks.
where could the people contact us?
You are Zach_Logan on Twitter. I am Edward E. Festizio. Podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast, Reddit.com/r/OnePiecePodcast. Leave us some feedback there. Please support us. Patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. Subscribe on SoundCloud for now. Subscribe on Google Play. Subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Or call us on our phone number, Zach.
That phone number is 347-497-MAJI.
Maji.
That phone number again is 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
With your comments, questions, theories, and recipes for Blorrrb, which is totally a thing. Thank you guys for coming on this week's episode. We'll be back on Friday or Saturday with a special bonus episode for you. It will probably not be as long as our regular episodes, but that should be a lot of fun. And we'll be back with a full episode and the next manga recap on Monday. So until then, my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
We'll see you on Friday, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
We'll meet again, don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again someday. And now he's looking out for the number 1 and the letter I.